I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like.
Nicotina's mom! Oh yeah! Nicotina's mom!
You're watching Poindexter Lounge. You already know. You're watching Poindexter Lounge for the unity.
Why don't you set aside an hour or two? We'll have a few drinks and a cup of coffee. I don't drink.
You're watching Poindexter.
You are watching Poindexter Lounge.
Hi, you're watching Poindexter Lounge. I'm choking on chicken.
And now I'll make the point better. This joint's clever. In the lounge with Poindexter. So Poindexter Lounge, you know that we can get it in. And now I'm headed up like I'm Led Zeppelin.
Hi, you're watching Poindexter Lounge. Do you like nerd stuff? Yeah? Then you'll love this. You never know what might happen or who might show up at the lounge.
I just want to thank you for being here and being my friend. It's always good to have someone you could count on, and I'm glad you're that for me.
Poindexter, you're getting all excited.
The Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
What is up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the one, the only, except no substitutions. There is no reason why you should. Ladies and gentlemen, you have found and you are at the Poindexter Lounge. Thank you for pulling in for a little while and spending some time with us tonight. It is so good to have you, my friends, and not just our friends, but our nerd family. Welcome. Hey, if this is your first time to the lounge, I am so glad that you are here. Welcome. We are happy to have you tonight, and I hope that you enjoy yourself. I hope that you kick back, relax, crack open an ice cold Dr. Pepper or beverage of your choice. Heck yeah, I'm going to go with a little Rockstar energy drink here. And hey, if you're into things like TV shows, movies, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, superheroes, toys, headset fell off, and so much more, then you have found the right place. So please hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. We would love to have you here. We want to have you here. And YouTube has been doing some crazy stuff to people as of late, dropping people, blocking people off of being able to see our notifications and things like that. And so we want to have you guys be a part of what we're doing for sure. All right. So please, if you're not subscribed already, you know you're not subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button. And if you have subscribed, but you know what, you just want to make sure, it would be good. It'd be a good idea to just, have you once again, just check and make sure that that you're still subscribed. Because like I said, YouTube has been doing some crazy stuff. They've been doing some crazy stuff to us, been doing some crazy stuff to others. And we just want to make sure that you are, that you're here and that you're in the right place along with us. Okay. And one of the ways that you can do that and make sure that you can connect. Whoops. I am going to real quick here post our Discord link. So if you want to join our Discord, this is a cool way that you guys can stay in touch with us and be a part of what we're doing and always be alerted. You know, sometimes the YouTube thing just isn't working. I tell you what, H Barts has told me many times, like, I didn't even get the notification that you were on at all. And but if you sign up for our Discord, not only do you get notifications when I go live, but you get notifications when a lot of our friends go live. So, you know what? It's like a one-stop shop for some of that. And I'm adding people as we make new friends and friends that we stream with. We're adding new people all the time. And so I think that's a great thing for you to take advantage of, if for not that alone. But also, even if you say, I've heard some people say, oh, I don't like Discords. Discords, they get so toxic and hard to deal with and stuff. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. That's not our Discord. Our Discord is a peaceful Discord. That's a weird statement when you think about it, isn't it? No, our Discord is just such a great place. We've got so many different things for people to discuss and touch base on, and lots of great channels. I mean, everything from DC, Marvel, Star Trek, Star Wars. If you make art, you can submit it there for people to look at. There's even a memes. That's one of my favorite spots because I love to see all the memes that everyone drops, and so that's really cool. And yeah, just lots of really cool stuff for you to take advantage of. So please follow that link. Sign up for the Discord. It just takes a couple minutes and you're on there. And like I said, you'll always get notifications. But hey, make sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube and that also you hit that notifications bell just so that you got all your bases covered, right? Because we want to get ahead of that game on YouTube. Be like, we ain't allowing that. YouTube trying to block us out, trying to keep us from achieving our best. We ain't going that way. We're achieving our best. We're doing what we need to do. We're hitting all of the parameters. All right. So thank you guys so much for that. Also, thank you to everyone who supports the channel. Thank you to all of our patrons. You guys are fantastic. You're awesome. We are greatly appreciative to all of you guys who support the channel. And of course, everyone who gives super chats. Look, I have been so grateful to each and every one of you guys. You guys have been so amazing to me and my family over the last few months. And then over this last week, just the outpouring of wonderful people out there who have given to the channel this week. As I lost my job this last week, and but not my ministry. I lost a position, but not my my goals and my visions and where I'm going. And so that's the important thing. No matter what trips you up through life, positions may come and go. Where you serve or where you work or where you accomplish those goals and what you're called to do the place may change. But don't let it change who you are. Don't let it change what you're called to do. Don't let it change what you were put on this earth to do. And that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not allowing things like that to change my vision, my goals, the things that I want to accomplish, things that I know that have been put down in my heart to help change this world for the better. And so, look, wherever I land, whatever, you know what? I know that it's ordained already. I already know that it's going to be there. But thank you to everyone who has expressed your love, your gratitude for the channel, and just in just whether it be in word and just dropping me a note, a note, and encouraging me that way, or all those who have just helped a little bit by giving to the channel. Thank you guys so much. And then, of course, thank you to all of the members of the channel. Listen, there's nothing I'd rather see than to have to make a completely new graphic or completely new animation for the membership. This is fantastic, guys. We are up over 50 members, and this is so cool to see. Welcome to our newest member, Caden Reed, right down there at the bottom right. Thank you, Caden, for being our newest member of the channel. We are so glad to have you here. So glad to have your support. And of course, glad to have all of your support, whether or not you just watch the channel and you're faithful in watching, whether or not you give to the channel. No one's ever expected to give. We never ask you guys to give anything. We're just always grateful and blown away that you guys support the channel in the way that you do. And so we'd like to show our appreciation and give a little something back. Of course, Real Elmo Cinema is taking home this bad boy right here, this Batman Unmasked. So that is going to Real Elmo Cinema, and he asked that I sign this. Now, look, anything that you guys ever win on the channel, I'm not going to make a big deal about it and be like, oh, I can sign it. I don't look at myself that way, right? But hey, you know what? And it's not that you guys look at me as like some celebrity, right? Like, but you know what? I'm always blessed. If you guys want me to sign this thing for you, I'll absolutely sign something for you. If we send something out to you, just know, totally cool. Totally cool. Just let me know, and we will do that. Okay. Whether or not you want me to sign it, the whole family to sign it. We've had that before, where we gave away a pop a few months ago, and they wanted not just me, but they wanted the entire family to sign it, including my grandma. And my grandma signed it too. And so, because my grandma's pretty cool like that. And so, anyway, so this went to Real Elmo Cinema, courtesy of Benson's, Mark at Benson's Emporium. So, hey, give a shout out to Mark at Benson's Emporium. Go check out Mark's website. It's got a lot of great products and a lot of great things on there. And then check this out. This is this week's giveaway. That's right. It's Batman The Long Halloween. Batman The Long Halloween. There it is right there, folks. There's a whole thing right there. And this is also courtesy of Mark at Benson's. So thank you, Mark, for stepping up and for giving us a couple of giveaways here to give away to our fine viewers. And all you have to do to be eligible for one of our giveaways is to either be a patron, you got to be a subscriber, be a patron, be a member, or give a super chat at any point, and you are absolutely in the running for this. And coming up, we're going to be giving away a Blu-ray of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So be looking for that. And then also, Mark told me that he is sending a black suit McFarlane Superman figure for us to give away on the channel as well. And I know a lot of you would love to get your hands on a black suit Superman figure from the Poindexter Lounge. And so, hey, keep in tune. All right. Keep in tune. Keep your eyes out for that. All right. Before I bring in my guests and before we start the show tonight, hopefully we get some guests in here in a little while. I got one person waiting that you're going to love, because I love him and you love him. And hey, it's a love fest up in here in the Poindexter Lounge. We got Gary. What's up, Gary? Gary says Tim's look has a real Count Olaf vibe to it. I think I think I missed. That's where it's cut off. I think so many people have now commented that I missed the first few. So if I miss somebody, please know that like this is the first one that I saw. So apparently I missed the conversation that was going on. But welcome, Gary. Hello to Mary Wilcox. Good to see you, Mary. Captain James Biggins is in the house. Abhijith is here. Thanks. What's up? He says, hey, nerd fam. Good to see you. Brian Master of None is here. He says, the road becomes my bride. I'm stripped of all but pride. So in her I do confide. I ask no one. Oh my gosh. And with dust in throat I crave. Only knowledge will I save. To the game you stay a slave. Rover, wanderer, nomad, vagabond. Call me what you will. Look, say what you will about that Black Album. I know there's a lot of diehard Metallica fans that don't like that Black Album. I'm sorry. I love that album. I cut my teeth playing guitar on that album. Great album. Great reference there, Brian. Great reference. It's going to be a good night. What's up, Todd Fayer? What's going on? God bless our hero, Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Caden Reed here. Hey, there's our newest member right there. It says Timothy is playing Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka. Oh, yes, we got pictures to show of, but dude, why not? Why not sing Metallica? I mean, I think that's the real question, isn't it? Right? I mean, it's sweet. I saw him in concert. Like, right? Like, why not sing Metallica? Metallica is the bomb. What's up, Belle Reeve? Belle, I know you got the link. You're welcome to join us, Belle. Always good to have another lady on always here in the lounge. What's up, Lewis Cox? You're 9 minutes late. Come on. Hey, you know what? I post that so that you're ready for it and you're ready to go. And there you go. Let's see who else is here. Rhea is here. Good to see you, Rhea. Rhea says, hey, Brian. Richard Gilbert is here. How is the wise and all-knowing Enosh doing tonight? Well, I don't know if I'm always the wise and all-knowing, but man, I do try hard. I do try hard to educate myself. What's up, Blake Taylor says, hey now, Lewis. He's actually a few minutes early tonight. What's up, everyone? Good to see you guys. T.W. McKay is in the house. Yes, excellent choice, Brian. Metallica is always an excellent choice. And hey, that song just kicks, man. I remember learning how to play that song, man. It's just, yeah, man. I'm a big Metallica fan for sure. Let's see. Protoss X is here. It says, I supported Bond this weekend. I know a lot of people did. We're going to get into a discussion of that. I hope RJ is able to join us tonight for that reason, because especially when we're talking about the box office. What's up, Anthony Grigsby says, good day, guys. Good day to you. He says Bond was brilliant. Okay, good to know. Let's see here. Who else is here? Power Talk is here. It says, I think the Injustice movie was bad, but that's my opinion. And you know what? And that's fine. And I think that's the important thing, is like everybody's entitled to their opinion. I have not seen it as of yet, but it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to seeing. And I'm hoping the best for it. I really want it to be something amazing and awesome, because I love that story. Some of the things that I've heard from some people have me a little curious. Just saying. They've got me a little. It's got me a little concerned. But I know that there's a lot of people who've been able to see it early, and we shall see. When I get a chance to see it, we shall see how it goes. Let's see here. Todd Fair says, I want the DVD or whatever the gift is. You mean even if it's Zack Snyder's Justice League? Love you, Todd. So this is interesting. The animation of Injustice was bad in my opinion. Now, see, I haven't seen the whole thing, but the animation that I saw at the beginning looked really good. So I don't know. I have to see the whole thing. Yes, TW makes a great point. Chat, if please like the stream if you like what you're watching. Share the stream to bring others to the conversation, and subscribe if you want to see more like that. I like that guy a lot. That's what we need. We need you to share it. We need a grassroots effort for sure. Yeah, Todd. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think you were so caught up in loving Feige. That's why I've been so very appreciative to everyone, man. I mean, I'm always appreciative to everyone, but yeah, bro, for sure, man. Yep. It happened last Wednesday, so thank you, though. I appreciate that. What's up, H Barts? H Barts in the house. Let's connect. Let's try to connect tomorrow, man, on some stuff. Okay. Sean C says No Time to Die was great, but Casino Royale and Skyfall are still the best Craig Bond films. Let's see here. Enosh, you will be an asset anywhere. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that, man. Big Dub Reaction says Poindexter Lounge. Hi, everybody. What's going on? Good to see you. Much love. Hey, Todd Fair with a $20 super chat says, I didn't see the part of your stream that you lost your job. Sorry to hear that. Hey, man, look, man, I appreciate that, man. And thank you, bro, for the support. Absolutely appreciate you watching, and always appreciate your input. What's up? Kevin Wagner says, hello, everyone. I don't see RJ yet. So everybody go to Twitter and tag RJ and be like, you need to be in the lounge. I don't know where he's at. He might be on somebody else's stream. He might be doing something else. I don't know. What's up? Zeno says, you're welcome, Enosh. I know I'm an amazing supporter. Hey, you know what, Zeno? Having you here, man, is an amazing support, bro. It's funny. We were joking about how Zeno and I, we had our moments, within the last year, and I'm just glad that Zeno's here, man. I'm glad that you support the channel, and I'm very, very thankful for you. Thank you so much, man. Something in the Culture is here. Says hi. What's up, Something in the Culture? Good to see you, bro. Rational Skeptic is here. What's the point of DC fandom if no Superman Henry Cavill news? I'm right there with you. You know what? Look, I know that there's some people who are like really excited about DC fandom, and look, I'm happy for you if you are. I'm still trying to figure out that thing that's supposedly the thing that makes me excited for it, because honestly, at this point, I'm not super excited for it. I just am not. I feel like all the things that are happening with it, I can see whether or not it's on fandom or not. So, all the trailers, okay. Any of this behind the scenes stuff, I can see it anytime. And look, I'm trying to figure out my money situation right now so I can still go to the Motor City Comic Con on Saturday, this coming Saturday. So if I'm able to go to Motor City Comic Con on Saturday, I ain't going to be worried about DC fandom all day. I'm going to be at the Motor City Comic Con doing that thing, having a good time there, and I'll come home and I'll check it out, right? And so, and I'm sorry, news on Superman and Lois is not going to cover it for me when it comes to Superman news. But that's me. What can I say? The AMBW channel says, hang in there, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate the love. Because I can't wait for Friday. There's something in the Culture. And Rational Skeptic says, yeah, the Batman and Black Adam are the only thing that excites me. How do you do a DCEU without Superman? Not very well. See, something in the Culture says GoldenEye is my favorite Bond film. H-Bar says Goldfingers is mine. No Time to Jarbo was a bad film. Sky Jarbo and Jarbo Royale were better. That one's funny. What's up, Nerd Cosa Nostra in the house? I can't wait. We're going to touch base tomorrow, so I can't wait to talk to him. And so, hey, thank you to everyone who's here tonight. All right, we're going to jump right in. You love him. I love him. He's a great member of the channel, and all around good guy. And you know what? I couldn't do a lot of what I do without this guy. This guy brings just so much love and joy to the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Brian, Master and None.
You've reached the voicemail of Brian, the man with the world's largest brain. It's only one letter off. It's not brain, it's Brian. You've reached Brian. Leave a message.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a 7 5/8 hat. It's pretty big. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. I was up at an 8 at one point, and then I lost all my weight. And
yeah.
now I've got a Detroit Tigers hat that like my head swims in.
It's like Little John and the East Side Boys. You could just wear it, kind of.
I mean, the thing is like flopping all over. I had to go get a different hat. I literally had to go get a different hat because there was no way I could make it fit anymore, and it was a fitted hat. So like, what was I going to do? Although
you just really grow out your hair like all comically and just like, wear it on top,
right? Just brush it all out like in my afro style. It's funny though, man, because I had a boss once who we were driving one day. We were on our way to a sales call that we were doing. Is when I worked for FedEx. And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Enosh, you got a big head." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, he's like, no. I don't mean that in a bad way. He's like, I don't even mean that in a bad way. He's like, there's a lot. He's like, I mean, like physically, your head is large. And I'm like, okay, again, like, what do you mean by that? He's like, no, I'm not saying that like you got a big ego. He's like, but you have a large, cranium. He says, but that's okay because many important and famous people have large heads, like Conan O'Brien. It's like,
all right,
okay, that's a really weird thing to say to somebody. But
it's slightly off-putting.
Yeah, it was just.
Oh, baby, when you approach like that, it gives me an anxiety attack. So please don't talk to me, especially when I'm buying groceries.
I love the untucked shirt vibe he's going off, and the bare feet are just killing it, dude.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know, man. Which I mean, look, you want to compare me to Conan O'Brien? I'll take that all day as a compliment. I definitely will.
There you go.
Because I love me some Conan O'Brien. H Bart's here with a $5 super chat. Thank you. H Bart says, Brian, people hate Dalton, but he is 80s Daniel Craig.
I said up in the chat that Timothy Dalton is my second favorite Bond, followed by Roger Moore. I think Roger Moore was the best ambassador for that character. He embraced it at the time.
Yes. You're right.
He loved playing that character so much that he ended up playing it like a couple times too many. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think Dalton is one of the most underrated James Bonds. I think his two movies, The Living Daylights and License to Kill, were really good movies. I liked License to Kill. Hell, it gave us Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
But I also like him as a bad guy. I mean, I loved him in Hot Fuzz. He was great in that. And The Rocketeer as was it Neville Sinclair?
Yeah. I got to watch The Rocketeer again, man. It's been so long.
It's been
since
years.
I can't even tell you how long it's been since I've watched The Rocketeer, dude. It's been that long. I mean, it literally might have been my childhood since I've watched The Rocketeer. So I got to restart that. Here's a great comment from Rational Skeptic. Says Henry Cavill kicked off the DCEU and no, they don't want him anymore. It's like no more Iron Man characters in the MCU after Iron Man 3. I don't know if it's that they don't want him anymore. I just don't know if they know what to do with Henry at this point. Because it's weird, man. If you look at the promotional stuff for Fandom, they've got Henry Cavill all over it. Yeah. Like they've got Henry Cavill in a lot of in the promos and everything. Like just today we were watching Tiffany and I were watching Birds of Prey on television because TNT is just showing like all the DC stuff, which is nice. I mean, except for when you're watching something on your DVR and you come back and then like Justice League is on and you're like, it's literally the part where he just came back to life and he's like holding Batman and he's like,
tell me,
do you bleed? And then Batman's like, something's bleeding,
Do you bleed?
Let me show you something. Are you bleeding, Batman? Because I think you might bleed.
Hope it's like a car keys.
There's a fire. There's car keys. And there's a hippo. And hey, what are you going to do? You're just walking around one day.
I got a Superman and
Hey
a
there.
Star Trek.
That's pretty cool. One day you're just walking around, just with a smile on your face. Oh no, there's a giant hippo. What are you gonna do? It's a good thing that you brought your trusty car keys with you. Because I'll tell you what, life is like a bunch of car keys for sure.
Good old Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, Brian, have you seen Injustice yet?
No.
Neither have I. Now, it's not out yet, right?
I don't know.
I don't think it's out yet. I think people are getting like some kind of like
early screener type
early
deal
thing, but like a lot of people seem to be getting it. So I don't know how they're saying, because I don't see it on HBO Max.
Yeah, if it comes on Max, I'll watch it. I mean,
because I was just like looking to see like, well, did I miss it coming out on HBO Max? But I don't see it on HBO Max. So
I mean, if DC does one thing right, I would say that the animated films are like, amazing compared to the other films. Like
even if they don't look the best, sometimes.
I like the design of Superman. The Superman suit looks good. Wonder Woman looks good. I mean, I like the design, the look of all those characters. I mean, even Batman looks good. The stuff with the Titans, where it kind of interludes and kind of connects it all together. It's like, God dang it! Why couldn't they do that with the DCEU?
Right. H. Bars here says, I would say that there has been no bad Bond actor. All have had their bad moments, though.
Yeah, no, I did say some stuff about Sean Connery. It was mostly just after he played the like he didn't want to play it anymore, and it was just kind of the ego thing about it. I don't know. I'm sure it all got sorted years down the road. It was in the documentary, but like I was kind of taken aback to see that like he really hated it.
You do suck says Archer is my favorite Bond.
There you go.
You know what? Like being a fan of Bob's Burgers, I have a real hard time like sometimes watching Archer. Like, because I really like Archer and I get it, it's comedy, but like all I can hear is Bob. Because like that dude, he doesn't change his voice for any of the characters that he ever plays. He's just always
John Benjamin.
Yeah, he's just Bob, dude. He just sounds like Bob Belcher, man. And it's just, and look, my family's name was Belcher. My dad's last name is Belcher. And here's the weird thing is his middle name is Eugene, right? Or Gene Belcher.
Yeah.
And so that's funny. And his ex-wife, my first stepmom was named Linda. So like when I hear all that stuff and I just think like for a while I went as Enosh Belcher. I could go as either. And and then at some point being the chubby kid whose first name rhymed with goulash, I dropped it. And then I went with Fee. I went back to Fee. And so so you know. Zeno agrees, says Moore is the best Bond. Look, I liked Roger Moore because that was the Bond I remembered watching in the 80s when I was a kid. Right. And so, I mean, For Your Eyes Only was my first Bond movie.
Oh, yeah. And then
I remember watching Moonraker.
With a View to a Kill. Oh, dude, that Duran Duran song was badass.
I got to go back and just watch all. I have access to all of the Bond movies. I need to go back and just watch them because it's been so long that I feel like I'm so far behind. And like I never watched any, even though I thought that he looked to be the quintessential Bond, which was Pierce Brosnan. Like when I think of the persona of James Bond, like, and I just imagine it in my head, to look at Pierce Brosnan kind of reminds me of how James Bond would look, right?
Well,
at least at that point in his life, you know, when he was young and you know.
I think it would have been better if Brosnan would have started earlier. Like if he didn't have the issue with if Remington Steele hadn't called, like I'm pretty sure it was like something along those lines because he would have been in For Your Eyes Only. I think like that's when they were talking about, you know, putting him in. So it's like,
and I think that was a bit too early.
It might have been, but I think if he'd have worked with John Glenn rather than Martin Campbell for his first outing, I think he would have had a little more grounding on the character that I think that, you know, Roger Moore brought to it a little bit, was aided by the director, John Glenn. Because he did like the last 5 of Roger Moore's movies.
Yeah. H Bart's here with a $2 super chat, says Enosh, what did you want to connect about? Hey, I want to connect about the Hall of Fame thing because there's actually I've got like a list now I got like a list of people that I want to get actually on there, and so H Barts is our first inductee into the Hall of Fame, and so just people who've meant something to the channel and that we've connected with, good people that we just want to viewers that we just want to put in there. I mean, like somebody else that I want to get in there and who I miss a lot, and I just saw re-upped his membership on the channel, and that's Darth Tasty, man. I miss Darth Tasty. I haven't seen Ryan in quite a while. He's been really busy, I know, but people like that, just people who just meant something to the channel, just appreciate. So, but I know we've been talking about this for forever, H Barts, and I just want to actually do it. I've got a little bit of time now that I'm trying to, move some stuff around and everything and get going. So yeah, I just want to actually pull the trigger on that, since we're talking about James Bond. Hey, Truth, you're more than welcome to jump in here, bro. Since I grew up on the Bronson era, he's my favorite for sure. Tell him the truth, man. I'll tell you what, that GoldenEye, I think is what really like nailed that for him. Like as Brosnan being
it set a good tone.
Yeah, a lot of people's favorite. I mean, that game was over the top, like people's favorite.
Oh, that game was legendary. I remember many times sitting in the youth room at my church and playing that specific game. All day Sunday, just until youth group started.
Oh, TW here is saying the movie leaked online. Oh,
that's why I haven't seen it, because I don't.
That's why
I try to avoid that kind of stuff. Couldn't wait 9 days.
October 19th.
Dang, highly anticipated.
Dang, gotta have it. Austin Powers is the best Bond. Oh my gosh.
Man, good old Austin Powers.
Mm-hmm. Mask of the Phantasm is flawless as well, says Sean C. Likes that. And
a lot of the Batman animation stuff are great. Like somebody said The Dark Knight Returns was in there. Fantastic. Loved it.
Ooh, I haven't seen that. Spherical Man says there was a season opener of Archer where it spoofed Bob's Burgers and used the actors too. That's cool.
I liked him in Wet Hot American Summer. John Benjamin. I think he played
yeah.
He was in it, but he also played like the voice of the can of peas or something like that.
Yep. I've never seen GoldenEye. I've never seen any of Brosnan. Why do I keep saying Bronson?
Well, Death Wish 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were pretty good movies.
Right? We got to do some watch parties, man. We haven't done some watch parties in a while, man. We need to do a couple of watch parties. It's
been a while since I've watched GoldenEye. The one I want to watch from him is Tomorrow Never Dies. That's the one I haven't seen in a long time, and that's the one that has.
Now, which one is that? The one?
With, the one with Terry, I think.
With Terry Hatcher. Okay.
Where Terry Hatcher was like the most at her peak Terry Hatcherness. It was right after Lois and Clark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Rational Skeptic. No, I mean, like I played a little bit of GoldenEye, when I was younger, but I never had a Super Nintendo, right? So, or an N64. So, like,
I'd always go over to friends' houses and play it.
Yeah, I went straight from my Nintendo right to a Sega Genesis, right to a PS2. Like, it was like boom, 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 and so I played GoldenEye with my friends, like at their house.
The guided missiles and knick-knack were not cool. Okay.
H. Barts here says, even though Craig is not my favorite, it's going to be odd not seeing Craig anymore. He starred when I was 6. Wow, it's amazing how. Yeah,
see, that's kind of something like I've been like thinking about a lot with regards to people and holding on to actors for certain roles and stuff like that. Because I think like we're about ready to come up and see if they're going to recast Wolverine, and we're going to see how people are going to react to that. You know what I mean? So it's like I think James Bond is the gold standard of the character being more important than the actor playing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing that we all have to keep in mind, is that the character is more important than the actor playing it. I mean, don't get me wrong, we got a great performance from, you know, those actors playing those specific roles, but at the end of the day, I mean, you know, actors can't live forever, and
It's true.
it's stuff like that. So I mean, like, I understand people love Christopher Reeves. That was my Superman, like right out the gate, the first Superman I ever watched. You know, Michael Keaton, my first Batman. You know what I mean? So it's like I've and not only that, but in the 90s, I got over it. I had Val Kilmer, I had George Clooney. You know what I mean? And then we had Christian Bale, you know, up to Ben Affleck. So I mean, that character is more important than the actor that's playing it. Robert Pattinson's playing it now, so it's like, yeah,
you know, it's all relative, man. It's like, and look, I've learned from Batman casting to never put down Batman casting before I see the movie.
Yeah, especially with Keaton, because everybody did.
Keaton, Heath Ledger is where I learned my lesson, right? Because when Heath Ledger was the Joker, like I just absolutely rejected that. I was just like, no, there's no way that dude, the guy from 10 Things I Hate About You.
I didn't like him at the time. I was like, oh, Heath Ledger. I was like, okay, whatever, you know.
Yeah. So, so I learned my lesson. I'm going to watch the movie first, and then I'll make my give my impressions. I will say, hey, TW, you're absolutely right. We have to do our 2 cents on nonsense watch party for Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. I will say this: if you have never watched that Fantastic Four movie,
never seen it.
It is like a B film.
I saw like the trailer for it or whatever.
It is crazy. It is hilarious, but it is not good. It is not. I will say this to Todd Fair: it is definitely not Feige produced, and definitely not the gold standard. But hey, look who's here! It's William.
What's up, hey? William? Roger Corman made a career from making that type of movie, though. It's just It's just funny that he would do a superhero movie. He would even accept that. But there was a Captain America movie during that era too that was just as cheesy. I think Matt Salinger, and it was a Red Skull, looked like something from
Red Skull is an Italian.
Yeah,
instead of horrible. Instead of a German.
Italians, Germans, they're part of the Axis powers. You know.
Actually, no, Sean. That film was absolutely finished.
Was released. Yeah,
it was never released. It was never released. That's the story behind that, actually. And there's a documentary
on
the
VHS. App. I thought there was a VHS somewhere of that. I saw that movie.
No. Well, yeah, you've seen the movie because here's the thing: that movie has been passed down. It's only been bootleg because Roger Corman never intended to release it. See, he had the rights to the Fantastic Four, and he was up against a deadline where he had to make a movie. And that's actually what's sad about that movie is that there's actually a documentary on the Tubi app. The Tubi, Tubi app is free, and they've got shows on there and movies and stuff like that.
I have. That's a great app.
Yeah, it's a great app, actually, especially for free. It's a really good app. Yeah. All the G.I. Joe episodes ever made are on there. Transformers, the cartoon, it's all on there for free. I mean, come on. That alone right there is worth downloading the app. But they have the documentary for that Corman movie, and they talk about the fact that he needed to make this movie. He started promoting this movie as it was going to be this big time Fantastic Four movie, and everyone they hired thought that this was their big break. And that's what's sad about it, because Roger Corman never intended to actually release the film. He just made the film so that he could say he made the film. Okay. And if you want to know how bad it is, let me just put it this way. This is the perfect action figure for it, because Mr. Fantastic, when he gets his powers, he like puts his arm towards the camera, but like he just kind of stretches his arm towards the camera like this, and they use this really weird thing. Like, and he'll like have an arm on a pole, and you can tell it's on a pole. I mean, it's so bad. And then at one point they're in a car in a limo, and you see this giant hand come out, and it's waving back and forth on a stick. It's so bad.
Ben Grimm's costume was so awful.
But you know what? It really, see, I'll be honest with you. I think the Thing costume is actually the least awful thing in that movie. Because for the 90s, it's actually not that bad. It's actually not that bad at all. I mean, by today's standards, yeah, we would say, oh, that's not that good. But I mean, by when that movie came out, early 90s. So, I mean, it really wasn't that bad. But the movie itself, it was finished. But the thing is, they never released it. But it was like, bootlegged so many times. That's how I got my original copy of it. Was I got a VHS. I bought it off of eBay. And because what they would do is people would make copies and then sell them at Comic-Cons and stuff. The same way that you could get the Star Wars Holiday Special. It was the exact same way that I got the Star Wars Holiday Special was that way. H Bart's here with another $5 super chat. Thank you, H Bart. Says this is why Chadwick should be recast. Imagine when Reeves died, they said no Superman ever again.
Exactly, 100%. He is 100% correct in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was using the analogy of James Bond for like the character being more important than the actor.
Yeah, this is where Marvel needs to make a decision in regards to people who know how to produce movies and make movies. Fans, we're fans. We only know so much, and we can only see things from a point of view to a certain extent. And we are a big part of the game. But the storyteller at some point has to be the storyteller. Yeah. And when he said that he wasn't going to recast, that to me, I'm like, I was shocked. I was actually shocked because Kevin Feige is a guy who knows where to draw the lines in between fan desires and wish lists in business. And he's always been able to do that. And I was very shocked to hear him say that. Now, if he's going to say, I'm going to delay it, I'm going to let the wounds heal for people who can't let go right now, that's fine. But to outright, say that we're never going to do that, that's something that a DC exec would have said. They would have basically listened to, a certain pocket of the fandom and said, you know what, we're going to go in that direction because you're the loudest. That's not consistent with the decisions he's made up to this point. So I hope he changes his mind. I hope, things go on. I'm pretty sure this new movie is going to be good, but it's not going to be a good Black Panther movie because you've decided to write and work around the elephant in the room, which is the Black Panther, the real Black Panther. Not you trying to imitate real life. If I want real life, I'll watch CNN. All right. If I want the deaths in my real world to reflect the deaths I pay to see on a big screen, then I'll literally just blow up a 40-foot screen and watch MSNBC or Dateline. But that's not what I go to see superhero movies for. People dying in real life can't be having that kind of effect on the narrative of comic book movies that have been around for decades.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hear you, man. That's, I know it's a touchy subject for a lot of people, right? Because of what happened and how it happened and everything. And obviously you want to pay your tributes. You want to do whatever, maybe you have a buffer movie, right, where you figure something else out, whatever. But if you're going to do a Black Panther movie, I don't know. It's just, it feels like we're not getting the full extent of what that character really could be just having one film with the character. I mean, I get, like, people have talked about, like other people have played Black Panther, it's gotten passed down, whatever. But like I said, we've hardly known that character already. We just basically got the origin story, so I'm interested to see how they explain it in this next film, and then I guess we go from there. H Bart's here with a $5 super chat. Says, did you know Disney does not own Fantastic Four on Constantin Films does? Marvel will co-produce.
Interesting.
I
don't know. Let's see.
I was pretty sure that Fox owned the rights to Fantastic Four, and that's why Disney got them back because they bought Fox.
I'm almost certain, but a lot of these goofy deals that happened in the 2000s have things attached that if companies change hands.
No, I know. Yeah.
For instance, if Sony, and this will never happen, if Sony were to be sold to another company, then the Spider-Man IP would go back to Marvel. But it would never happen simply because the value that Spider-Man represents, you would be devaluing the company that you were buying, so no one would ever buy you. And plus, most companies can't afford to buy Sony anyway. But I don't believe this is the case, but there may be side deals. Marvel was desperate in 1998, 1999. They almost went out of existence. We were wondering as vendors whether we were going to be getting Marvel Comics at some point within the next 6 months, or there's going to be a Marvel Comics for us to even pick up. That's how bad it was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they were putting out trash, to be honest with you. So, and because a lot of the people would leave, a lot of their big names that made Marvel had either gone to Image or had gone to DC. And a lot of the big names that run, had gone, so they sold Spider-Man, they sold all these IPs off and not knowing what these would turn into. So there could be a side deal in there. I doubt it because I think we would have heard about it by now, but I could be wrong. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't some side deal in there, just like Universal. Everybody thinks that Universal can do anything that they want with James Bond. There's a family that owns that has to give approval for that, I think. So there's a lot of stuff that people don't know about these side deals.
Constantine Films had a partnership with 20th Century Fox, so they still actually have the rights to
the full rights.
Yeah, and it's not completely uncommon. I guess it happens all the time. So like New Line Cinema was responsible for producing the Middle Earth series and stuff. But now it's with Amazon. But the actual owners is the Saul Zantes company, which operates Middle Earth Enterprises.
Oh wow!
Well,
I learned something today.
Somebody has to put up the money.
Yeah,
somebody has to put up the money, and it's not always the people who we think it is. And that's why I say when these movies, people like, has Shang-Chi broke 400 yet?
I'm pretty sure it has. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know it was hovering around the 360, 370. But when people look at the production budgets of these movies and they say, look, it's a success because it made a production budget. Movies like that need to make at least 600, 660 because there's so many people that put up money. And not just the production costs. There's a lot of people who put up a leverage to get things done that got to get paid back that are guaranteed percentages. Like if Brian made the Enosh biography movie and I put up, part of the production, there's some back end deals. I want a 15%, bonus if this movie hits so-and-so. So out of that 300, 400 million, the actual studio ain't getting that much. And then you look at the 30% that the actual cinemas get. So that's why when people say movies are successful, they don't realize that there's a lot of people who put money in it that we never hear about.
Yeah,
and so now, so each watch.
Yeah, according to this Screen Rant article that just came out 10 hours ago, it says Shang-Chi passes 400 million at global box office even without China. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings becomes the first pandemic era movie to surpass the 400 million global box office milestone. Disney and Marvel Shang-Chi continues to outperform expectations, sailing past $400 million worldwide. It's in its sixth week. Let's see. I'm trying to look.
That's a long time to reach. I understand.
Let's see. It hit another box office record by becoming the first pandemic era movie to achieve the 200 million box office milestone, and it seems the film has just surpassed another one. Now I'm trying to see if they have the the budget.
It's 185.
It was 185. Wow,
it's 185. So this I can write a success story because of the pandemic. But when I put down, if I'm the people who financed this movie and the people who were getting back in deals with this movie, I'm not happy with this because I'm not getting my money. I'm not getting the studio's getting a percentage of it. The cinemas get their percentage of it. The production company gets their percentage. Then you have advertising budget. Now there wasn't a lot of advertising budget for Shang-Chi, but it would only need to be 30 or 40 million to be significant for a movie that only made 400 something million.
Can I just point something out, not to be political or whatever, but look, you know what? A lot of times people say things about the United States in a negative way. And look, the United States has a lot of issues, has a lot of problems. Okay. One of the greatest things though about this country is that you're free.
Yep. You can say those problems.
You can say whatever you want to about the country People do whatever they want to about the country. People can put the country down. People could say whatever. Even citizens of especially citizens of the country, you could say whatever you want to, and we don't have this this thing because it says
lock you up.
Exactly. Exactly. It says one of the reasons Shang-Chi's performance is so notable is the fact that its international box office does not include China, since the movie has yet to release in the Middle Kingdom, owing to comments the film's star. Was it Simu
Lee?
Simu Lee.
He's not backing down. I
made in a CBC 2017 interview that referenced negative aspects about his parents living in China. The Chinese government excluded Shang-Chi from their list of upcoming MCU movies scheduled to release in its territories. Can you believe that? Like, literally, just because he made a comment that had some negative aspects about his parents living in China back in 2017, the entire country, like the country itself, the government said, no, we're not going to release this movie that this dude's in.
That's how they do it.
I mean, how many actors in Hollywood have said horrible negative things? I mean, some horrible and some very right on. Okay, let's be honest about the United States and the issues that are going on in the United States, but still yet their movies still get released and the public is still free to be able to make up their own mind and see the thing. Like, this is noteworthy, though. I mean, I didn't even mean to say that, but it says this is particularly noteworthy because Disney's latest film passed the 400 million global box office milestone without the help of a Chinese release, making it the first pandemic-era Hollywood movie to do so. This has led to many to speculate on how well Shang-Chi could have performed if it was allowed to release in China. Because, let's be honest, this feels like the kind of movie that would do really well in China, given its content. So I mean, it's interesting. Rational Skeptic here with a $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. Says, Enosh, did you see the 1997 DC JLA film? Are you talking about the TV show pilot?
Oh, please. Oh, man. I think I know what he's talking about. And that was.
I think that's the TV show pilot, right? It wasn't. I don't think it was a movie, was it?
I'm not sure.
If I'm thinking about the right thing, let me know, Rational Skeptic, if that's what you're talking about, because I have seen that. I have seen what they tried to do as a pilot for, for that.
It was very colorful.
That was something else. Yeah, Shang-Chi says I just looked at. Yeah, it was not released officially. Yeah, but there are bootlegs all over the place. Absolutely, and you can actually find it on YouTube. The Fantastic Four movie is right here on YouTube too. Let's see here. Hello, Cherie. Good to see you, Cherie. Good to see you in here. Was Mr. Fantastic the actor who played Senator Kelly in X-Men? No. No.
How much did No Time to Die pull in? I saw somebody put that up.
I don't know. We're going to be talking about that in just a second. Actually, that was the first thing. Yeah. Pound.
I see this one.
Yeah. Cherie says I was so caught up. I was reading Dune, completely forgot about the stream. Oh well, you can't forget about the stream.
Probably didn't put her to sleep.
Right. Let's see here. Just trying to catch up. Sean C says I do think they'll recast Black Panther eventually, but it'll be a long, long time. Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
And who knows? You know what? Maybe there'll be something to do with the multiverse, right? Where they bring in, some other way of doing it, and I don't know if that's the way I wanted to do it. But Zeno here says I'm not watching a Black Panther movie without Black Panther. I'm just interested to see how they do it.
Yeah. Curiosity.
Yeah, I see, Dad, dude, Vince. That's the interesting thing, right? Like, I think sometimes we put these parameters. Look at all the people who put those parameters on Christopher Reeve. There's lots of Christopher Reeve fans who act like there should never be another Superman because no one will ever be as good as Christopher Reeve. And Christopher Reeve was on record several times as saying that he wanted the character to go on. That like he didn't want people to just appreciate his version, but he was well aware of the fact that there was going to be plenty of other people after him who played, the character. And, I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me that the people kind of get caught up in that, man, where it's like they act like,
You'll never go wrong if you put the story first. When you start focusing on things outside of the story, Chadwick Boseman, everybody who signed up for that movie from the gaffer all the way up to him is there. They are a tool to tell the story. They are not the story. They are tools to tell the story. He did his part, and he did his part great. But the story doesn't stop with him, you know. And so, really, and I think no matter who it is, what studio it is, if you focus on the story as being the basis of everything you do, and not whiny fans and something, I'm not saying all fans are whiny, but like DC would be in a different place now if they would have focused on their story and not a pocket full of fans that were never going to go see their movie.
Wait, you know what? Okay, the guy from X-Men, is that him?
Who?
Now that I think about it,
Senator Kelly.
Yeah. Is that him?
Yeah, I was looking at the. Let's see here.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but then I was just thinking about, like, I was looking back through here and I was thinking, you know what?
It's so long since I've seen that movie.
I think that is him. I think that is.
It's
him.
also on YouTube.
Yeah,
the documentary.
Yeah. Oh, the documentary's on YouTube as well. Yeah, heck yeah, man. That's great. Yeah, you guys look that up, man. It's good stuff. And then we'll come back together and we'll do the watch party for sure. Rational Skeptic says, yeah, the CBS pilot also considered a movie. Is it considered a movie? I just know that was it was so awful. It had this tornado or hurricane or something that they were fighting, and
the Super Friends is superior to what they put.
Now, see, here's one thing that I will say this. I don't know if I would have been down for this. I feel like they should have written it then in a different way. But like I honestly thought that they did an okay job with the scenes that they recut for Leia.
Are you talking about for Rogue One or
no, for Rise of Skywalker?
Oh.
I didn't really have a problem with her part in there, and I was glad that would have felt weird midstream to just recast her. Like if they were going to do that, like either just reuse those parts, which I thought that they did a pretty good job of that, even though I'm not a fan of that film overall. But I thought that part was okay. But if you got to, if it came down to having to recast, just figure out a different. You got to write her out of the movie. Yeah, just write her out of the movie, because honestly, like I don't know that I would have wanted to see somebody else as
that's for me.
Leia.
That's where I got done with Star Wars. I mean, I'm paying attention to some of the stuff that's going on, but after Force Awakens, I was on a high. I could not wait for the next movie.
Oh, me too,
man. And when I saw the same, like I said, I saw my childhood in their 60s hogging up the movie after you introduced these really kick-ass characters. I wanted to see where Finn was going. I wanted to see I wanted to see all these new people. You put Oscar Isaac's character, and then what did I see? I saw a family reunion of middle-aged people that I didn't want to see anymore. I was done with Luke Skywalker when I was a kid. I was done with Han Solo was done with Han Solo decades ago, and I got the same old nostalgia shoved down my throat, and that's where I was done with Star Wars right there. I mean, I watched
especially with the Last Jedi, you know, kind of giving us something different and fresh, and then it was like kind of back to the same thing. That's kind of how I felt, but I know people have different views on.
No, I am 100% in agreement here on that.
It's a Star Trek scenario, and please, everybody who's doing any science fiction, learn from Star Trek. Learn from what old Trek fan almost did to Star Trek. Old Trek fan almost snuffed the life out of Star Trek, and we went over a decade without Star Trek on TV because producers and film companies and all that, you know, they looked at old Trek fan and like, you guys are a buffalo going off a cliff, and you're not going to take our dollars with you. So we'll wait until we can get somebody who can just break the mold and do whatever he wants to. And people can say what they want about J.J. Abrams. There's no current Star Trek without J.J. Abrams breaking.
Oh, guaranteed.
There is no current Star Trek.
It was dead with Enterprise.
And old Trek fan killed it. Old Trek fan took his really tight shirt and he wrapped it around the neck of Trek and choked the life out of it. Ruined Star Trek Enterprise, which could have been one of their better shows. But the producers were so weak at the time, and old Trek fan was louder than everybody else. Guys like me who am an old Trek fan was watching the show. I didn't feel the need to scream and change my diaper in public. But old Trek fan was louder than me, and he won out, and we ended up with a screwed up ending of Enterprise, and no Trek until the mid 2000s. So
yeah,
I would hope that Star Trek doesn't get caught up in such nostalgia that they can't move on to something bright and new. I mean, how many times am I going to see Luke, Leia, and Chewie and different actors playing them and putting computer faces on these guys? Is the universe that small?
Yeah.
Yeah. H. Bart's here with a $10 super chat. Thank you, H. Bart. Says Black Panther is my favorite superhero since I was little. Every time Marvel announced a new film, I was hoping for Black Panther, and now ending after one film, it's over. It sucks.
That's 100% agree.
Wow, man.
What he's saying is true.
Well, especially with as popular as the MCU movies are, that like Black Panther. I mean, it made over $1 billion, and that's one of those movies that made $1 billion on its own merits. That ain't like Captain Marvel, right? That it just had to get sandwiched in somewhere for it to make money, where people felt like they had to go see it. People went to go see Black Panther because they wanted to see Black Panther.
Yeah, and boy, if you were a young black man, like I told you before, when we did the press screenings for that. And I told you, when it comes to comic book movies and people of color attending them, we're 13%. 13%. I counted 13%. All right. For Black Panther, it was 47%. 47% of the tickets I gave away and we let in. And there were people showing up in full gear, and they were proud because it was representation, and it was representation and breaking every stereotype that you could have on there. You had this high-tech society. You had this king. You had all these articulate, educated, and you look at the stereotypes that we've been portrayed in sometimes. It's not the best. So we had this, and one of the Jack Kirby Stan Lee creations, not an add-on. I know a lot of people like to bring Blade up, and that's fine. But Black Panther and Blade are in two different atmospheres. Black Panther was a huge mega production. Blade was a good movie. So people are, well, Blade, no. Black Panther was the first major headline character led by a black actor, because Black Panther's on a level much higher than Blade would ever be, even in Marvel's eyes. So that was a huge deal. And for it to be as successful as it was, and for him to be integrated, that was huge for people who had never had that. I mean, what have we had growing up? You know, we've only had Blade as far as comic book characters goes.
Sure.
And that's nowhere near the level of these comic book movies are today. So yeah. And when Chadwick Boseman, I don't know the guy. Obviously, I can't believe he would want that momentum and that work to stop with him.
It was an amazing movie. Like, I still remember that. I got goosebumps watching that movie. Like, that was a fantastic
Michael
movie.
B. Jordan, it's still, in my opinion, Michael B. Jordan's best performance. That is his
absolutely
best. He made you believable. He was killing people and doing awful things in that movie, but I could relate to why he was doing it. I could relate. I could hate him for what he was doing, but I couldn't hate him for why he was doing it. I completely understood his motivation. And that was really, that's when you have, again, he portrayed it very well. And like I said, I hope that there's plenty of black actors that can take that role and pick it up and take it further.
There you go. Ray Fisher, man. Hashtag Ray Fisher.
There's a lot of people. Ray Fisher.
Let's make it happen.
So yeah, have him doing a Disney movie. That'd be hilarious.
Hey, it's not gonna come back for Cyborg. Screw it. Let's get him.
I'm not gonna put a lid on that, but that's an 8 months away conversation. That's a news conference away from happening. So, and that news conference it starts out that, "Hi, my name's David Zaslav." That's how that news conference starts. Right? After that, everything's fair game.
H. Bart's here says with a $2 super chat. Thank you. H. Bart says, "Go Taiwan, real China."
Yeah, that's a. If you want to defund your movie and get and not end up in China, bring up Taiwan.
Yeah,
forget it.
John Cena. Oh,
yeah. You had to do a hostage video.
Wow. I am sorry, China.
Please send help. He's blinking his eyes in Morse code because it's so bad. But you know what? Here's the thing about China, and this is what I love about streaming. Streaming is going to take power away from a lot of people who've had too much. And not just China, critics, goofballs who could really change the trajectory of a movie before you and I even see it.
Yep.
So when we're putting these movies on streaming and they go global everywhere else, and we don't have to worry about, if it doesn't get released in China, we can't justify it even being made. We don't have to do that anymore. We'll still have our movie theaters and stuff like that. But a movie like Shang-Chi will get its leverage from being on every streaming service and people watching it on premium and things like that. Because that's a shame. You got an Asian star, Asian Canadian star that can't get his movie in the largest Asian country in the world, where it would do well because of something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about the streaming reality. It's an option to put it out there, and everybody there's VPNs. People in China are getting the stuff. They're pirating it, so I know they're getting it, even if it's not released in their cinemas. Their kids are still seeing it. So,
let's see here. Before we move on. You Do Suck says, yeah, Disney does have the distribution rights to Fantastic Four. Constantine Films really doesn't have much leverage.
They have enough, though. They don't have the distributor has the main levers, but it's like the key when you ignite your nuclear bomb. You have to turn two keys to put it in there.
Spherical Man says, well, there's also a reason why the image of Winnie the Pooh is banned in China.
He's not wearing pants.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, I believe that was 95. Yeah, 95. And then I missed Cherie's one up here. It says Cherie said, I want a cameo in the Enosh biography. I like it.
That documentary would be hilarious, dude.
Oh, you think so?
You think so?
Hilarious. The Enosh Fee biography, Poindexter Lounge.
Who plays Brian? Who plays? I'm not signing the rights for anybody to play me because you guys will destroy me. You'll get some crackpot out.
My likeness. Oh.
Right. So there's something interesting to hear from the chat. Like, who should play all of us in the Poindexter Lounge story?
Rosie Perez plays what's her face? Why can't Saggy? With her boss.
Rosie Perez is Saggy?
Who else? Come on.
Wow, like you're like aging her up a little bit there, aren't you, buddy? We're just going all through time. It's like a multiverse that we could take an actor out of any time period and bring them back to play us. Right.
Usually you might do that. And when actors
Buster Keaton to play Dawson.
Yeah, John Candy play me.
Oh, geez, yeah.
What's up, H Bart's here with a $2 super chat. Says Pooh Jimping.
He's not wrong. Oh.
Now see, Dad Dude Vince says I'd get a younger Ving Rhames for William.
There you go.
Wow, that would be a massive upgrade.
I could see it. Well, I mean, usually those things are right.
Yeah,
I'd be a little disappointed if anybody's like, yeah, we'll get Seth Rogen to play Enosh or Josh Gad. Josh Gad.
Jonah
Hill. You're not welcome anywhere. You're not welcome anywhere near the Enosh Fee biography.
Adam Sandler.
Blake says 15 to 20 minutes of the biography movie will be dedicated to talk about material of Mike 0 and 2.
Who would play those guys? That'd be hilarious. You just put on.
Oh my gosh. The guy from Simply Red for Enosh, Josh Gad for Brian, and Sam Jackson for William.
No.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you know what? I'll take that. Definitely has my mouth.
Oh, we lost Rational Skeptic. Oh no. Well, hopefully we'll be here.
See you later
when Matt's done. So thank you for being here, though, Rational Skeptic. Appreciate you. Or you could always catch him on, the replay.
True.
Just saying. All right. So since that's what we're talking about here, let's since we've been talking about this, let's talk about No Time to Die, since everybody's been on a James Bond kick here real quick.
Yeah.
But first, H Bars with a $5 super chat here says, Matt said one night I was a bit racist, making fun of Xi Jinping, but calling a dictator bad things is not wrong in my book.
No, I agree.
I would need to see the full context of that conversation. Probably a little bit more to it.
That's interesting. That's interesting, though. Matt Jarbo, taking a position on that. I don't know.
I would need to hear the clip.
I'd have to hear the clip. But No, look, when it comes to dictators like that, look, I don't. We obviously know that the situation in China is not a healthy one. And I hope the best for him for sure. But look, making fun of somebody. Look, I think that it's a difference if you're picking on somebody who's just whatever even me, man. Like anybody who puts themselves out there in any kind of public way, somebody's going to pick on you. Something's going to happen. You just got to know what's going to happen, right?
Anytime you put yourself in the spotlight.
I put it this way: I was the first person I learned how to laugh at. So
wow. Here's an interesting question, William.
What's Sugar Hill, without a doubt, Sugar Hill.
Okay.
Sugar Hill.
You know what mine has become, and nobody probably cares what mine is because I'm the whitest guy here in the room. But it's because of riff tracks. You guys ever watch riff tracks?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen The Man from Harlem?
Yes.
That is absolutely hilarious.
And it's racist too. It is.
Oh
wow, over the top. That and Blackula. Blackula, if you can tell that this was made in L.A. and it was made in what they hated cops to the point where the cops were so stupid in these movies, and they were overtly racist and they were homophobic. If you watch Blackula, there's a gay guy who gets killed, and the way it's characterized in there, you could tell. But you have to understand that these movies were being made at a time where we were just now getting the power to make movies. When they'd been shut out of Hollywood, and there was a lot of hatred for those first 4 or 5 years. Now, with American Entertainment AIP pictures, the more that they developed throughout the mid to late 70s, the movies actually got better. Like the second Blackula was way better than the first Blackula, and then you had Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You had a lot of different ones, but Sugar Hill came out in 75, and it's in my opinion the best one. I got Pam Grier in it. It's the only black zombie movie that I know of, to be honest with you, even 40 some odd years later. But no, Sugar Hill, to answer your question, is my favorite blaxploitation movie.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this: you can find I don't know if Blackula is on YouTube.
Yes,
it is. Okay, so Blackula is on YouTube, but also I would suggest if you watch The Man from Harlem, watch the Riff Tracks version. RIFFTRAXX, I think.
Yeah, that's
X's?
actually you can
or
go
one.
to their site.
But if you look, they actually have it for free right here on YouTube. It's The Man from Harlem. I'll never forget when I first saw it.
Yeah,
it is. It captures a time for sure. But it's very, very interesting. I'll just put it that way. Spherical Man says, if you ask RJ, Saggy would be played by Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I remember that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Jared says, just have Dave Chappelle gain some weight. He'd be a funny William.
Call me fat.
I thought Dave Chappelle already gained some weight.
That's cold.
Alejandro here says Russell Crowe for Enosh. There you go. Paul Smith says Tom Cruise for Enosh, and all he does is run.
Wow.
Blake says, I want to see Cedric the Entertainer as William.
That'd still be an upgrade.
There you go. H-Bart says, I called him Winnie the Pooh. Ain't nothing wrong with that. South Park called him Winnie the Pooh, too. Like, made fun of him with Winnie the Pooh. So, real quick, Dad Dude Vince says, I'm curious what William's take is on the John Gruden situation.
Okay, so it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because you are talking about someone who is in a leadership position, leading a sport that is more than 50% African American. And there has been a problem with the NFL, a perception of the NFL, the way, even though a lot of guys are millionaires, a lot of African Americans are millionaires, majority of the players in the NFL are not Tom Brady. They're not, they're not Patrick Mahomes. They're guys making in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions.
Yeah, they're broke.
Yeah.
There's a documentary about it. It's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, the guy that the lineman that you don't never hear about, he doesn't make all that kind of money. And the perception that somebody who's part of the management that has that much control over your career is saying something like that. I don't know if there's, like I said, I don't know the entirety of the conversation. I can't think of any excuse where that is appropriate when you're in that position. And he needed to come out and do a little bit more and say, hey, I said something stupid. I said something stupid, and that's not who I am. And he needed to be a lot far ahead of that than they were. But I find it unfortunate because people say stuff. I served in the Army with a guy from West Virginia, a small town. I legit think this guy met 2 or 3 black people in the entire 19 years he was on the planet before we met. When we met at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, he said some stuff that would have gotten him killed. Would have gotten him killed where I grew up.
Wow.
But finally, we're like, he didn't know, and that's what he grew up around. And he had spent his entire life saying some awful things until he got around some of us, and we're like, dude, that's not acceptable. What point of view are you coming from? And at that point, I know this guy to this day. Now, do I hold that guy accountable for what he was then or what he evolved into now? So people can evolve into something that is not what they said somewhere, but he needs to come out and say, hey, that's not, that was stupid. But that was years ago, and this is what I've learned since then. I know people who are complete, absolute, full-blooded racists that once they got into the environment around other people and the stereotypes fell down, they weren't anymore. They couldn't be anymore because their reality was too strong for them, and they evolved. But if I went back 7-8 years and say, hey, you know what? You said the N-word back in 2008. I hate you now. If I watch that person evolve from 2008 till now, and that person, I got to give people room to evolve. Otherwise, we're going to stay in the trenches. But yeah. John Gruden needed to get out in front of this immediately and speak for himself a lot more articulately than he let the press do it. He let a whole bunch of others commentators do it. He should have drove the train on this. Otherwise, perception is that the guys are racist, and that's unfortunate. You can't be in a position that way and people trust you, because now how is the team going to trust that you're making decisions that are based on football reasons or based because you have a lower opinion of somebody from their ethnic group? Yeah, so it's unfortunate. Yeah. Sorry.
Damn.
Yeah. Let's see here. Kevin Smith is Brian.
Yeah, I could go for that. Like
Dude, all these are upgrades. I'll take it off.
Right.
I'll take it.
Heck yeah. Let's see here. H Bars with a $5 super chat says, my whole life, my white friends called me Beaner. He is Hispanic. It says, or illegal, but I never take offense to it. I think it's all in like how you perceive like people saying stuff to you. Like, is it threatening? Is it your friends who are,
is it like a term of endearment kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, like I think there's a whole.
Or do they know the weight of the word? I know a lot of people from the South, like I said, did not grow around in environments and didn't understand what the weight of the word was because they never said it in the presence of a black person. They didn't understand that, when you get into a common area and you're out of your circles and you're out of your small backyard of a town and you come into the cities where we all have to pretty much coexist together. And those things are not, half the stuff is not true. You know how many people I know that I've met that grew up and were fed a line of BS about all kinds of different ethnic groups. And that's all it was fed to them by people they trust. When your mothers and your fathers and your grandparents and your uncles tell you that these people are a certain way, those are people you trust and you grow up with that. And it takes getting out into cities and environments to break that. So when you hear that word, and you hear Beaner or you hear the N-word, you understand now the weight that has and that you shouldn't throw that around. But in your own little communities, it doesn't matter because there's no diversity there. That's why the key to all of this is getting out of your comfort zone. I think the greatest thing my dad ever did was join the military and get out of his comfort zone and raise us in places where we were never allowed to build these things. I grew up on an Air Force base where there was no segregation. We didn't have a black neighborhood. We didn't have a Mexican neighborhood. I had Filipinos living next to me. I had Japanese people next to me. We had everybody, and we grew up integrated. And by the time I learned what the weight of racism really was, I was well into high school because I hadn't been exposed to that, and I had never had to deal with that. So that was the greatest thing he did. And then I followed in his steps and did the same thing, but you got to understand where people are coming from. But if you don't get out into the atmosphere and get other cultures under your belt, you're always going to be in that trench. And
no, it's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like my family. My cousins all stayed in my old small town in California. So I mean, by nature, they have that backwards mentality with regards to that, because there was 1 or 2 black families that lived in the city, in that town. I lived in Sacramento, so it was like I grew up in that melting pot where it was,
Yeah, and I was from LA, and conversely, and there's a flip side to that, because as somebody growing up in a diverse place and the second largest city, in America, I'm thinking everybody that's from the South is out to kill me. Here I am. I'm getting on a Cessna plane going to places like Alabama.
Yeah, we're stationed in the South,
and the only thing all I know as a South and Southerners is what I've seen on TV, and the stuff that I see on TV ain't good. I'm going to go to Mississippi. Last I saw was Mississippi burning. So even I had to get out of that pocket.
Some reservations about it.
To accept the fact that not every white person in the South wants to hang you. And that was a serious fear. We were, afraid to go out and go to some of the bars and go to some of the stuff that in Alabama, because Alabama has a history, unfortunately. But you know what? I got out there. I met some people, met some country folks, went fishing, which is something I don't do. I don't hunt. My relationship with food begins when it's on my plate. But I did stuff like that.
There's some damn good fishing out there, though. Oh, man.
So I had to do the same thing. So I can only imagine how somebody growing up who doesn't have Mexican people around them, who doesn't have black folks around them, and the only thing they see is the polarized stuff that you see on TV. So it's the John Green thing. But he's almost 60 years old, so he really should know better.
Yeah, I had a friend who grew up in rural Michigan his whole life. He never met a black person until he was about 10 years old. He never saw a black person until he was about 10 years old. He lived
Sounds about right. That's how I was.
Rural area, farmland, and honestly, like he joked about it a lot, where like the first time he saw a person of color, like he asked his mom, and it was honest. It was a childlike thing, because he just never seen a black person before. So he literally asked his mom if they were chocolate people. Because he had just never seen it. So yeah, I think that does bring up a good point of that. Like everybody is from a different place. Everybody's not as educated in the same way that you are, right? Or I am, right? Everybody's not had the same experience. So it does, hurt my heart when I see people judge other people on all the same level, playing field, when honestly, not everybody in this country has had the same experience, and not everybody in this country has had the good, bad, or indifferent, right? I mean, everybody's at a different spot, and I think that's why we seek to have conversations. That's why we seek to know and learn about people and where they are and why they say and do the things that they do. Because I think if you do that, you get beneath just that surface level of, okay, this is just bad all the time, or this is, just good all the time,
Well, it's like if you spend your day on Twitter, you think the world's coming to an end.
Well, yeah.
We always have a problem, though, with talking about, we're talking about it here, but for the most part, these sensitive topics are always off the table, and that makes it worse. We don't have race conversations until somebody's dead. We don't have any type of religious or gun conversations until somebody's dead. We don't really address these things till the body bags are being zipped up. But in the interim, in the years and stuff in the between, instead of talking about these things, priming people for them, making it so that it's not such a shock to the system, we don't do that. We run away into the corners, and we only come out when something really, really awful happens. And that's a problem. And it's the same thing with religion. Like I served with a guy who was a Mormon. I knew nothing about Mormonism. Only thing I knew about Mormonism was the jokes that people told about it. So one of these days we're sitting on a tank literally in Fort in California, in TC, and we had nothing to do. So we started asking each other about stuff about Mormonism. And I learned a lot about Mormonism that day. Next day I learned a lot about the differences between Sunni Arab and Sunni Muslim, all kinds of stuff, things I didn't know. But because we how many times have you ever walked to somebody? Oh, I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to get into religion. But,
all the time.
But here's the thing. But it doesn't. That doesn't stop these things from happening. The Earth doesn't stop turning just because people don't want to talk about the ugly stuff around it.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Like I said, and this is what happens. We're not prepared for the next awful thing because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the race thing. It's a shock to the system because we're like, oh, I can't believe that kind of racism. You know damn well it did. You just didn't want to talk about it. Oh, I can't believe that guy was able to get a hold of that. Of course he did. It's been that way for decades. You just didn't talk about it. Oh, all religion is bad. No, it's not. You can't tell. Whatever brings you to the finish line, whatever faith keeps you going. I don't care whether it's no faith at all or Baptist and everything else. Whatever that is your northern star. And people don't understand that, but they don't talk to the other guy. They don't talk to the Catholic. They don't talk to the Muslim. They don't talk to the Baptist. You know, they run away. And
that's what I like. I've always tried to run towards that kind of stuff. Like I've had like many conversations with people of all different kinds of races about race. Like I find it to be really interesting, and I approach it from an academic standpoint where I just want to learn.
Yeah,
you know, like I mean, how do you do that? Like this is why I like Star Trek so much, and I think you'll agree, William. It's like the expression infinite diversity and infinite combinations, and it's like. Yeah. For me, watching Star Trek, especially in the 90s as a kid, I mean, who was in charge on Deep Space Nine?
It was Cisco.
You know? Dude, I had Cisco to look up to, man.
Yeah. We did too, because
he was amazing.
And not only did you have Cisco, you had a Shakespearean trained actor in Avery Brooks, one of the strongest leadership characters you could have. And that's what Star Trek did.
And a father, you know, that loved his kid, you know, and that was one of the things that you never got to see.
No, and even though the majority of them are that, and with Star Trek, and a lot of it has to do with relevance. People think that if other things get brought up and other races and other genders get highlighted, that their place in society is on shaky ground, you know. And if you look at the way the demographics are turning, in the next 30 years, brown and people of color will be the majority. Okay. Yeah. With the problem, the thing that scares people is if you're a white guy and you're not racist, you do not have to be racist to be afraid of this. You've looked at how a guy that looks like me has been treated a little bit, and you inherently and naturally don't want to be treated that way.
You're like, oh gosh, no.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I'm here to tell you, you guys are gonna be okay. All right. Nothing's going to happen to you when that happens, because we have learned we don't want to live in that. We don't want anybody to go through that. And this next generation is just not going to buy it. All right. This next generation is not your old Archie Bunker sitting on the front. This next generation is diverse. They're far removed from a lot of this stuff, and they're more accepting. So everything's going to be fine. You're not going to, there's not going to be segregation run by a guy like me saying you can't come in here. No, capitalism. I want your money.
Right.
I don't want any of that. So
money knows no race, man.
Exactly. People need to understand that capitalism kills a lot of stuff. It's the best disinfectant in the world.
Very true.
You want your money. You want your money. Real quick here.
Yes, Sugar Hill is amazing.
Scotty says, yes, Sugar Hill is amazing. Fun fact, Brad Pitt wore a Sugar Hill tank top at Fight Club.
Did not go unnoticed by me.
Paul Smith says, my favorite blaxploitation film is Truck Turner. The poster just screams blaxploitation too.
It screams a lot of stuff.
Yeah. H. Bart's here says Matthew Lillard as Enoch.
Man, it's been a while since Matthew Lillard.
Wow. Shaggy.
Wow. Well, zoinks. Shifty Gizm says, I'm telling you, Jay Lethal for William.
Another upgrade. One of the best wrestlers in the world.
Dad Dude Vince says, thanks, William. I figured you'd have a unique situation being an African-American and being in Vegas.
Actually, in Vegas, it's a little different because it's still in my opinion, we're not where places like New York and places, we're only 3 million some odd people here. Whereas California, you're talking about 50 million, and a lot of us are densely packed. There's still Vegas is still wide open enough to where you can avoid a lot of things.
It's like that up in Reno too.
Yeah, if you don't want to interact, you can go to Summerlin, you can go to the places in Los Angeles. We were all on top of each other. You had no choice but to figure it out. And then base housing, your neighborhood, was right next to everybody, and you didn't. One thing about the military that I love is that racism was not tolerated. I know there is racism, and I'm not saying the racism in the military, but every situation I've had to deal with in the military, because we had so many people of color in positions that were so affected by it, you could not deploy. We had a situation where one of this old sergeants called a Vietnamese sergeant the excellence plane that starts with a G, and I'll let you figure it out. We sent him home. We sent him home immediately. He was an E7. He was a senior NCO.
Damn.
We did not deploy with him, and I'm pretty sure he got a bad conduct because we can't trust you if you don't think of me. If you're thinking of me as less than anything that you are, we can't trust you not to make those types of decisions. You're going to send me in the front line and get me, and put me in a perilous situation that you wouldn't put another guy in. So as soon as we hear that stuff, people are like, hey, that could be my ass that he puts out there. So we got rid of that. Like I said, the guy had been in, he 30 years in, he was a reservist, got sent home 24 hours before we deployed out of McCord Air Force Base. So that's the environment that I come from, that and living in a big city.
So interesting right now, Superman is trending on Twitter. Interesting. Here's some this is kind of cool. See, and I don't want to get off topic because I just said we weren't going to be talking about DC stuff tonight. But
Superman.
I know, but it's funny because check this out. I just think that this is cool. I just want to show this real quick. Apparently, this is artwork of some of the artwork, some of the concept stuff for Batman v Superman for Doomsday. Which, man, look, if there's one complaint I have about Batman v Superman, it's the way Doomsday looks. Like Doomsday in general being in the movie
that was a problem for me.
Was a little jarring, I was glad though. Like I will say this, I was glad that they were going to have Doomsday in it. That at least they had to kill Superman off, and then actually go because I just feel like if Doomsday shows up, you can't have Doomsday show up and not kill Superman. You can't have him be a villain that Superman beats without that. But yeah, look at this. This actually is good. Some really good stuff here. Who could have been? You just never know.
Okay, serious question. The Black Zombie movie, a movie without black zombies, or just a culture of black zombie movies? Well, in the case of Sugar Hill, the cast was predominantly black, and the antagonist star and the protagonist star for the most part black. So when I say black zombie movie, that's what I'm referring to.
Hedavo as Poindexter Lounge, like that. Brian Q. Quinn as Brian. I can see that.
I'm sorry.
Practical.
That last one, I'm sorry. I just understood a part of his question again. Culturally, as in, that too, because Sugar Hill, you were dealing with voodoo and you were dealing with cultural aspects and references. So sorry I didn't answer that fully the first time.
Young Bill Murray for Enosh. I like that.
Old Bill Murray
hey now. With a $2 super chat, H Bart says, "I'm sure when you met me, Enosh, I'm not racist." No, hey, no, man, no.
You got to be careful with that term too, because not everybody that says something stupid is a racist.
Exactly.
I'm hard. I'm not saying it. Trust me, there are out there.
No, absolutely. No, H Bart's. I'll be honest with you, man. Meeting H Bart's and his family was one of the highlights of my year this year, and so I'm grateful for you, bro, and I'm grateful for your family. Yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun, and you can see it right here on the channel. We are all one race, says Jared. The human race. Hate is just pathetic. I agree with you. Let's see. You do suck says we still haven't gotten over the Civil War yet. Unfortunately, many people aren't. But this is interesting. This is Integrity 101 says people say never talk religion or politics. Aren't those exactly the type of things we should all be talking about? We should. That things we should be having those conversations with one another, because that's the heart of people. Like that's the things that are like most important. The I think the key to that is the key to that is to not prejudge somebody or act like they're bad people just because of maybe who they voted for or the color of their skin or if they go to church or if they don't go to church, or if they go to a mosque, or if they go to a temple, or wherever they go, or wherever they don't go. We're missing the whole point. If those are the things we're focusing on, you know.
Civil War, by the way, Civil War. Here's the thing about the Civil War. I don't hate all white people because of Civil War and slavery. That is, and I don't blame obviously current generations for that. But I think the conversation that really needs to be had and needs to start from here is it wasn't anybody's fault sitting in this room, but there was a gap created. How do we mitigate that gap to where it doesn't destroy both sides? And that once you recognize that that this stuff happened and it doesn't go away in 300 and 400 years, when you have generations and when you do something that affected a generation, it takes 2 generations to undo it. So you figure these things happen. And I think the good, intelligent conversation is how do we mend this going forward? Mm-hmm. I'm not bringing the hate of 1861 to Enosh just because he's a white guy. I'm bringing the question to Enosh of 1861. What do we do now?
Yes.
What do we do now to bridge this gap so that this gap that was created by the situation that we were brought into the country under and the one that you existed under, how do we bridge that? Let's bargain. What do we do? What do we do that doesn't destroy you? Because that destroys me too, because we live in the same country and exist on the same economy. What do we do to make it so that we have a level playing field? I can do this without blaming you for what Robert E. Lee did or whatever, and Nathan Bedford, right? I can do that. We can have a Civil War conversation and the consequences of racism and systemic racism without me hating the people that were the result of it. Yes, there are advantages that people had that are inherited because of who and what they are, and that's a conversation that needs to be had. But that's to me, that's a deal-making conversation. That is a deal-making conversation to where how do we make it work? Because guess what? Even though we're only 13% of the economy, you take away 13% of anybody's economy, that economy is going to a nosedive. So we're here. We're here. Yeah. We're spending money. We're part of you. We've been a part of the country since before it was a country. So let's have a conversation on what we do now, but while still bringing up these things.
Absolutely. Spherical Man here says, didn't Snyder claim that the Doomsday was still somewhere out in space? Yes, he did. And then Mary says here, DL, I actually have no problem with the way Doomsday looked. Yeah, after all, it wasn't the real Doomsday. And I'm fine with that. Here's the only problem with that, though. And here's real conversations we need to have, because I'm cool with that if the real Doomsday is still out there. But even if the Snyderverse continues, then would the real Doomsday show up one day and also kill Superman?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. You already had a Doomsday kill Superman, so by default, that just makes it the real Doomsday, or it takes away from the fact. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't really want to touch on that again.
Well, you can bring him back because there's a lot of history behind Doomsday that goes before and after him. If you ever wanted to bring him back again, I thought they did it masterfully in Krypton. Where we we didn't even need the interaction between the two to make a relevant story. I wouldn't bring him back again because Doomsday in general was a plot device. Remember with the interviews when they created that character, he was literally created to do that one thing. There wasn't a lot of substance to his character until years and years down the line. So I would avoid bringing Doomsday back at all, simple because there's just a lot more. I would rather see Brainiac before I ever even mention Doomsday again. I think he's a low-level enemy. I think he's a very powerful enemy, but intellectually, I would rather deal with Brainiac, Luthor, and just so many other people in his rogues gallery that will be much better.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. H Bart's here with a $10 super chat. Says no hate on Matt. No, we don't hate on Matt. But H Bart's has no hate on Matt. It says it's just that I don't think I should be labeled a bit racist. I'm Mexican and white. My cousins are black, and I have had so many ethnic diverse friends. Well, and that's kind of what we're talking about. It's funny that wasn't the topic of discussion, but see, that's what I love about the lounge is we're not scared to like divert for a while to talk about something that's on everybody's minds and in everybody's hearts, and like and something that's important to talk about. And look, that could be a really what I love is look that if you're talking racism and you're talking about these kind of issues, that could be a very heavy subject. You know what I like about it is we've been talking about this subject now for a little while, and it's been a very nice, light conversation.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, one thing I want to say is like,
and so
I think
H Barts, you're
yeah.
good, bro. I just want you to know, man, H Barts, look, man, I know your heart and I know where you're coming from. Yeah. And I would never call you racist just for bringing up something like that. I mean, look, like I said, there are many people who brought up the Winnie the Pooh thing and all that stuff. I mean, I think there's a clear distinction in between thinking is something is funny or humorous and like really being racist and trying to cause harm, So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just gonna say, like, just kind of to add a little on to how I approach what William was talking about. For me, I try to listen as much as I can, and I feel like as long as we're having conversations about it and it's breaking down the barriers that have been put up, over the years and generations, I feel like if people are willing to listen to what the experience of other people is, you know what I mean? So it's like, for me personally, that's whenever I have these conversations, I take the time to listen to what's going on, and it applies also to religious discussions as well, because people take their religion very personally. It's very personal to them, and I was Catholic for a while, so I mean, and it was by choice. So I mean, I understand where people are coming from. I had friends that were Mormons. I was very curious. I wanted to learn about it, so I did. There was a couple that I didn't learn much about as far as mainstream stuff was, but excuse me. So that's basically, I just want to say, I'm here to listen as far as that stuff goes. And, if anybody wants to have that conversation, I'm more than willing to, lend an ear and give my 2 cents as far as that's concerned. So,
okay. What's up, Ill Life? Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. Okay. So that being said, I know we kind of got off on that, but you know what? I think it was a good conversation, and thanks for everybody in the chat. It just goes to show once again, our group of people here at the Poindexter Lounge, you guys are so awesome. The people in the chat and the people who are part of this nerd family. I love the fact that we're having a conversation about religion and race and whatnot. And you all have been awesome in the chat. No arguments going on. None of that. That's fantastic. Now we move on back to James Bond. And what does this mean? What does this mean? Because look, after the release of Venom, right, hitting $90 million in its first weekend, everybody was really, like, even I was saying, hey, that's a turn corner for theaters, right? And look, I still believe like Spider-Man's going to blow the hinges off. Absolutely, just going to blow the hinges, but I also said like it's going to be interesting to see what these other movies do, right? That aren't Marvel movies or but James Bond, this No Time to Die movie, it was one of these big tentpole movies. And look, $56 million is nothing to laugh at right now. That's a huge opening. That's a huge opening for right now with the pandemic and everything like that. So I don't want to take away from that, and I don't want people to think that I'm coming down on the James Bond movie, because I'm not. I'm simply reading this Variety report, and we're going to talk about what this means, because it says here, box office, No Time to Die debuts slightly behind expectations with $56 million. The Bond film has crossed 300 million globally, though. So that's a positive. It's doing great globally. This is No Time to Die, the latest installment in the James Bond franchise, debuted to $56 million from 4,407 theaters at the domestic box office, a result that falls somewhat short of expectations and signals that one of the most storied brands in film history is still being forced to contend with a movie-going landscape that has been dramatically altered by the pandemic. Heading into the weekend, No Time to Die was projected to make $60 million to $70 million in its first 3 days of release. Though not a disaster, the film's final weekend total was expected to be higher because it received positive reviews and represented Daniel Craig's final outing as the stylish secret agent. In light of the ongoing pandemic, assessing initial box office results for No Time to Die isn't as clear-cut. For some movies, especially during a public health crisis, an opening weekend of $56 million would be cause for great jubilation. But No Time to Die is no ordinary film. It carries a massive $250 million production budget, to say nothing of the more than $100 million marketing spend. Add in the tens of millions it's cost to delay No Time to Die, which was supposed to premiere in April of 2020 before the pandemic altered those plans. And box office experts estimate that conservatively, No Time to Die needs to gross at least $800 million at the global box office to make money in its theatrical window. For Bond, the franchise has numerous marketing partners and ancillary tie-ins with Rolex, Aston Martin, and more that could help cushion potential losses. Ticket sales at the international box office will be a huge factor in terms of profitability for No Time to Die. So far, audiences have been turning out overseas, where it has already made an impressive $145 million. Globally, the film has collected $313 million. Directed by Kerry Joji Fukunaga, True Detective, and co-starring Lee Seydoux, Rami Malek, and Ana de Armas, the 007 adventure has opened in most major markets except for China, set for October 29th, so it still has yet to open in China, a popular territory for all things Bond. At the domestic box office, No Time to Die's start ranks below recent series entries. 2015 Spectre made $70 million, and 2012's franchise high Skyfall made $88 million. The silently muted results for No Time to Die are attributable to several factors, including hesitation among older audiences to return to theaters and its lengthy 2-hour and 45-minute runtime, which limited the number of screenings per day. It's also the first Hollywood tentpole with real competition at the box office. Sony's comic book sequel, Venom: Let There Be Carnage, opened last weekend and has continued to pull in crowds, which may have cannibalized ticket sales for Bond. With No Time to Die claiming the number one spot on domestic box office charts, the Venom follow-up slid to a second place with $32 million. Still very good, especially for second week. A figure that's more than many pandemic era releases have made in the entire theatrical run. In total, Venom: Let There Be Carnage has generated a mighty $141 million in North America and $185 million worldwide. Since Bond is a property that tends to skew towards older audiences, box office analysts... Now, see, that's weird to me that they're saying it still skews towards older audiences, because I know tons. Everybody that I know who's into Bond is younger, but...
The average median, and we did this, the average median is 44 years old.
Really?
Sounds about right.
Okay. But it says box office analysts haven't been discouraged by the turnout for No Time to Die. In general, older moviegoers don't make as much of an effort to watch a film on its opening weekend. Exit polls indicates that 64% of ticket buyers were male and 57% were over the age of 35. It scored an A- cinema score, a positive sign for the movie's long-term prospects. One promising note for the future of moviegoing: 25% of ticket buyers returned to theaters for the first time in more than 18 months for Bond, according to United Artists Releasing. The company distributed No Time to Die in the U.S. Universal is distributing the film in most international territories as well as Canada. The audience is broad, with all age groups and segments well represented, including the 35-plus crowd, who have been slow to return to the movies, says David Gross, who runs the movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research. If anything kept the film from overperforming this weekend, it's the younger groups who are less committed to the series. In a distant third place on domestic charts, The Addams Family 2 generated $10 million, bringing in North American total to $31.1 million. The animated family comedy from MGM and United Artists Releasing is being offered simultaneously on premium video on demand platforms. Disney superhero adventures Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings landed at number 4 with $4.2 million in its sixth weekend in theaters. Now, theaters are starting to fill up now with more movies, so that's gonna play a role in it too, because now we're getting multiple films in here. But globally, the Marvel comic book movie adaptation has surpassed $400 million worldwide, making it the sixth highest grossing film of the year. With $212 million in North America, it remains the biggest movie of 2021 at the domestic box office. The Many Saints of Newark, a prequel to The Sopranos, rounded out the top 5 with a sultry $1.4 million in its sophomore outing. That puts ticket sales for the Warner Brothers movie, which premiered day and date on HBO Max, at a dismal $7.4 million. It cost $50 million to make that Sopranos movie.
Here's the thing about that. First of all, when I hear Sopranos and Game of Thrones, I 100% associate those things with HBO. I had no desire to go see that in a movie theater. I associate Sopranos with me sitting on my ass on my sofa, hearing that zing, that HBO logo come up, and hearing that song. That is not something that translates into. They should have never really released that in the theaters. That is an HBO. Its home is on HBO. Its atmosphere is on HBO. That's where it belongs. And if most people that I know, you say, "Oh, it was released in theaters." Why? Because when you think of Sunday night's HBO, you think of certain things. You don't think of the cinema when you think of The Sopranos. And when you go see it, it doesn't read. I saw it. I saw it. I watched it on HBO Max. That's not something I would have enjoyed in the theater. It was a really good Sopranos episode that was a little bit longer, and that's where it should have been released. Now, who spent $50 million on it? That's really not a lot of money, to be honest with you. When you divvy it up on your subscribers, but that is an HBO thing. It's like when you see TV shows, that's like making like a Laverne and Shirley movie or something like that. Its home is on ABC. You associate it with ABC. Big Bang Theory movie. No, CBS. You associated that with CBS, and that's where you're going to watch it. So that to me is only a failure of perception, not a reality.
Good to see you, Josh. And no, man, I like that. I like that, bro. I like that. No, Josh, I was teasing Josh on Twitter just a few minutes ago because Brian put out a thing about the broadcast tonight, and Josh was like, no, thanks. I was like, hey, man, what happened? Are we good? I'm like, the Lord only knows, man. Did I take somebody else off without knowing it? And I was like, are we good? He's like, no, we're good. I just don't feel like listening to DC stuff tonight. I'm like, well, it's a good thing then, because we ain't talking about DC stuff. That's what I was joking about. And then, of course, that Doomsday thing came across my desk.
That was the only DC thing we've talked about tonight, guys.
Yeah. But I love you, Josh. Glad you're here, bro.
So who's the Snyder cultist now? No.
Right. Uh-oh. But yeah, look, we've been talking about, the box office and what it means and what these things mean. Obviously $56 million for an opening weekend is great. I don't know if we're starting to get a little lenient now with what we think movies should or could make. But when you look at all those other movies, though, that are currently out there, I mean, like a lot of these movies that were coming before it, they didn't have any of that competition, so
the only competition they had was people's fear.
Yeah,
I mean,
because that Delta variant was cutting through, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but you figure if Venom made 90 million in its first weekend and then over 30 million, I mean, that's what it's about a 60% or more
65% drop.
65% drop. Yeah. So I mean, that's a big drop, but also where did that go? Right. So that probably went over to something like No Time to Die. And then there's, honestly, there's just a lot of people who they like the idea of James Bond, but it's not like they're like it was saying, like older people who like it, they're not necessarily like having to go the first day.
Yeah. I can wait.
That'll change with a younger James Bond, but not a 53-year-old James Bond that's already well into his story.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing there was like a high watermark for this movie, right? Or the benchmark was huge. It was like, it's got to make $1 billion or failure on epic proportions. So, yeah.
And that's going to be like that way. That's why when you hear something like No Time to Die not reaching its expectations, but you see movies that are making less than half a billion, and they're successful.
See, the thing is, exactly. I think I agree with Josh. I just don't think spy movies are. I mean, you could say this since the Cold War. I mean,
Skyfall made $1 billion.
Well, I got you, but I'm just saying, like, maybe it is time for like Bond to take a break for a while.
No, it's time for a Bond that fits the demographic of the money that they want. Like I said, a 53-year-old Bond that's 6, 7,
going to get the older folk.
14 years into his run is not going to appeal to the 20 to 35-year-old. But a new Bond or a Cavill Bond, even though he's up there, but he's only 37 years old and he looks great. He's in the height of his career as far as where he's at. He's in things like The Witcher and all these things. the demographic that Daniel Craig fits right now, it has passed the heart of the money making demographic. So that's all. I mean, he did a great job, but it's good that he's exiting, because another Bond now can take hold of a new generation, and you'll see it come back up. I don't think spy movies, it's just the focal point of them. You can relate. A lot of these kids aren't going to relate to a 52-year-old guy, jumping around, when they're look what they're watching. They're watching Squid Game and all that other, stuff like that. You're going to see a very different Bond, but a very consistent Bond. He'll be consistent to what Bond is, but relevant to the money generation. The generation.
Now, what do you think? What do you think of this saying, though, that it has to make $800 million to make any money? Like,
that's what I mean. That's what I was trying to tell you guys before. Because there's so many other people that have their hands in the pot that are guaranteed bonuses, back-end bonuses, production companies, people who did. If a movie makes a certain amount of money, then percentages start to go up. So you need to reach a certain watermark for that movie to make money. And like I said, the percentage that the theater gets. That's why Shang-Chi's $400 million, that sounds great, but it's really not. When you figure the people at the table, the ones that we don't get to see all the time, that get paid out, the lenders that get interest. When you lend me money to make a movie and I want 15% interest, okay, now you start multiplying that. That all comes from somewhere. And people who get bonuses. So if you have a star, you think Daniel Craig is not getting a huge bonus for this movie? That's not part of the production budget. That's part of the back end budget.
I honestly think with modern sensibilities, James Bond's passé.
Nah, I just think he's in a
no, because they've already kind of Me Too'd him. I don't think the character of James Bond, the way he's been portrayed over the last 60 years, is going to work anymore.
Then you make changes. I
agree, but it's just I think there's a stigma on that. It's like James Bond's always been known as the uber male. You know what I mean? Kind of.
Yeah, like Kirk banging every alien.
Exactly.
All day.
So it's just like I feel like it just doesn't. It will work for a small niche crowd that likes that particular genre, but I think. I don't know. I think at the end of the day,
you'll get a newer, when your next Bond will address all that. Your next Bond will be the guy that that doesn't trip over any wires and have those sensibilities, and it'll still be entertaining. And that's where they'll make their money. You're not going to change the Bond that has been played before, but you can evolve them to just like some of our superheroes. Some of our superheroes were pretty goofy back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, but we didn't stop making them. We just evolved them. And I think Bond will be fine. It's just that we're at the end run. We're in a bad pandemic time, and they spent a lot of money they owe a lot of people money on these movies. All these movies. There's a reason why Top Gun can't get released on a streaming service, because Tom Cruise probably has a bonus bigger than most films' production budgets, and that's going to be first dollar. And the people who develop it, the people who all the actors in it, all the jets, you have to pay the United States Navy millions to use these Hornets, to use these aircraft carriers, for fuel. I mean, everything costs money, and then people front you that money, but you don't make profit lending money by just saying, okay, I gave you 500 million, give me 500 million back. No, I want 700 million.
Yeah.
So guess what? There's 200 million right there. So these movies, making, and that's why I wish they had held off on certain movies being released, because I understand that they're going to lose a certain amount of money by waiting. They're going to lose a boatload by putting them out there and then having them drop 65%, because now it's 65% of a depressed market. So you're really hurting. Venom. I'm glad Venom made a lot of money at the front end, but our strike zone is much smaller now. So when they set out to make these movies, they weren't thinking about the pandemic. They spent pre-pandemic money. Now they're having to deal with a pandemic, math, and that's not cool. So we'll get past it, but yeah, that's why 900 million just to make money. Can you imagine that? That's staggering.
That's just crazy. I mean, and that just kind of shows you, like, I just feel like movie making has gotten like way out of
it's the $1 billion. The $1 billion threshold needs to go away. I've said this for years now.
It's gotten way out of touch, though. I mean, like, look, most movies look like cartoons these days, like the live action ones. they look like cartoons because there's so much CGI in them that it's ridiculous. It doesn't even look real anymore, and it looks cheesy like half the time, and people will defend it all day long. But the reality is like half these movies looks like we're watching an animated film for the most part, instead of anything with action or or anything. Like it seems like or especially sci-fi stuff, or comic book stuff is, I mean, that's all it is. Like sometimes the environments are completely CGI.
I blame George Lucas.
Yeah,
it's all his damn fault.
Denis Villeneuve is another one. Denis Villeneuve has a lot of that, but it's subdued. It fits in. It's not so over the top and cartoonish. When you're looking at Vegas 2049, you feel like you're in a one of the worst places ever. And it is part of the storyline. A lot of guys are just doing it just for lights and effect. And when you're spending all that money, just to put a shiny package, and you're not using it in a subdued way, then you're just throwing money away. But these budgets are going to have to come down. These budgets are going to have to come down by about 125 million each. They're not going to be, and they won't need to be that high, because you're not, the $1 billion standard is ruined people's careers, in my opinion. It chased Zack Snyder away from DC. Zack Snyder's not making DC movies right now because some idiots held every movie to $1 billion standard. That's why we never got our Justice League 2, 3, and Man of Steel 2. That's why we never got that, because some clown said that this movie needs to make $1 billion. Instead of setting real expectations from the start and spending the type of money, you didn't need to spend $250 million on Batman versus Superman. You could have spent a lot less, and then that $858 million you made would have been a lot larger. You didn't have to spend $185 million on a certain thing and get mad when it only made $678. Because if you did half that, you could have got away with it. Like I said, the same guy went and made a movie for Netflix for $90 million. Yeah. Army of the Dead, even if you're not a zombie movie, that movie was pretty good. That's a $90 million budget. I mean, you could throw them another $50 million, and you're still well within range for if that movie makes $700 or $800 million, everybody's happy. But bad business decisions from the drawing stage, and spending all this money on VFX, not using stagecraft, all that stuff, man.
Yeah, happy upcoming birthday, Angie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Angie. Happy birthday to you. I hope you enjoy your birthday week. Spherical Man here says, honestly, was anybody asking for a Sopranos prequel movie?
No, I wasn't. No. I love The Sopranos. I love The Sopranos. I wasn't asking for it. And if I had to pay to see it, I wouldn't have seen it. Yeah. Because it was a glorified episode, is what it was. That answered some questions, but not enough to where it was like, okay, well, damn, I mean, there's one particular, and I won't spoil it, but there's one particular, turning point in someone's life that is answered in the movie, but not enough for me to plop down $10, $12 to go see it. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is there's just some things, look, especially right now, with just, money wise, also, pandemic wise, just so many things, that's going to affect people whether or not they go to the films, in a theater. Daniel Craig, Integrity 101, what's up, man? Says Daniel Craig got me truly into Bond.
Yeah, he's the best Bond, in my opinion. I did not think I would love Daniel Craig's Bond. As soon as I saw Casino Royale, and it drags a little bit, but from the middle of Casino Royale all the way to Quantum of Solace, that's some of the best Bond they've ever put out.
Here's an interesting Dad Dude Vince is talking about completion or competition. I think December 22nd will be crazy. Matrix Resurrections, The Kingsman, and Sing all on that day. And then the week after,
all of those are going to bomb, by the way.
What comes out the week after, by the way, on the 29th? Well, Spider-Man. Yeah, so Spider-Man. No, wait, hold on.
Spider-Man comes out the week before.
Yeah, the week before. Okay. And then there's something else major, I think, that comes out on the 29th. We were just watching something else comes out on the
Matrix.
Something else.
These movies are going to bomb.
Something comes out on the 29th. If anybody in the chat knows what it is, or anybody can look it up. Spider-Man's going to rule for a few weeks, which is sad, because especially with look, I love the Kingsman series. I'm interested in this Kingsman movie and being a prequel or whatnot. And I'm definitely going to see Matrix Resurrections. So,
why did they make that movie?
The Matrix?
Why did they make
I don't know what nobody asked for that one
this
either.
is what I mean. When you this is movies that we should have a stream. Back when I finally get around to my channel, I'm gonna have a stream about movies that should have never been made. Not whether you loved them or not, whether they should have been made or not. This movie should have never been made. Why are you making this movie?
Well, that's what it's like. Sequels, it just seems like they're just wringing the hell out of that dank, dirty sponge. It's like, God dang it, man! Just you got to let it dry out.
Most of the appeal from the Matrix came from when the Matrix was released, where we were at technologically and society wise. Most of us didn't even have good flip phones. Bullet cam was cool before they started using on the beer commercials. All right, so 20 some odd years later, we're living in the midst of all this, and it's just not, the off factor isn't there. I remember seeing the first Matrix movies. The off factor was there because they were so visionary. It's not visionary now. And he looks like John Wick. He looks like John Wick that can stop bullets. And I'm like, why are you making? And they knew it. They figured once they made this movie, they realized it, because if any of these movies that especially ones released on day in and day out,
I want dad bod Bond.
Well, you might get it. But if any of these movies were high up on the upper end, they thought they could make good money, they would push them down the line. But they're not. They're going to release this one and I'm going to watch The Matrix right on the TV. Because
I have not seen the new Cobra Kai trailer, so I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. I have not yet watched that series.
Yeah, neither have I. I wasn't that big a fan.
Neither was I.
I mean, I liked Karate Kid growing up. Don't get me wrong. I like the the Karate Kids, but like it was like when this came out, I wasn't going to get the YouTube,
the premium,
whatever that was, premium, whatever it was, to watch it, and I just have not caught up on it. So I'm interested in it. It's something that we keep talking about starting, but we just haven't gotten around to it. We just no, I have not.
I just don't want to see it. I just don't want to see a bunch of guys I looked at in my childhood, old and fat and living out their childhood again through people. That's just what it is. Ooh,
is it? There's something coming out on the 29th, though. He says, Enosh, there's only just the tragedy of Macbeth and West Side Story in December. But there's then there's something else that's happening December 29th, though. And then I'm going to have to remember what it is, because I know that date. Josh Bowen, and Josh makes a good point, because look, this is where I'm at with this. Says, there are Matrix fans. So there are people who want that movie. I want that movie. Like, I'm not saying I was like knocking down any doors for it, but like, if you tell me you're going to make another Matrix movie, I'm going to be there. Well,
I think the only reason I'm going to watch it is because it's on HBO Max.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you both talk at the same time. Go ahead, Brian.
I wouldn't see it in the theaters, basically.
No?
Nope.
No. Dude, with as much money as it costs to go to see movies in the theaters, I'm very picky about what I go spend my money on. That's why I haven't seen Venom 2, There Will Be Carnage. Like, any of these movies, this is what I like about Day and Date. And this is like, like my main point on the theaters is it's too damn expensive. So it's like, just for me as a person, like if I'm going with other people, it's not too bad. We share the cost. We have some fun. You know what I mean? But if I'm going by myself and I'm spending upwards of $30 just to, experience something, and I'm very picky. The last movie I saw before the pandemic was Rise of Skywalker, because it was Star Wars. Probably not the best decisions I made with my money. But all these other movies, if it wasn't for HBO Max or having them in one way, shape, or form, I would not have seen them.
Yeah, that's why when people say, "Well, HBO Max stabbed their partners in the back," I'm like, for Dune,
Put eyeballs on the product.
Yeah, nobody.
I wouldn't have watched Dune.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are going to get to experience Dune that were not going to shell out one red cent to go see that movie. That's a damn shame.
When does Dune come out? When does Dune come out?
Oh, Dune
Next
comes
month,
out on
right?
the 22nd. I'm going on Monday. I'm going on the 18th
of October of this month.
Yep. Next Monday, not this coming Monday, but next Monday is the pre-screening, and then that following Thursday, Friday is the release date.
Okay,
so I'm going to get to see it.
Ill Life here says, I want the original Matrix 4 they wanted to do years ago was going to be a prequel about the first anomaly, first construct.
Yeah,
Look,
I want to find out how we got to the Matrix.
That's what
I
the
don't care about the
Animatrix is
Matrix
for.
now.
Well, Brian, have you ever watched the?
I watched some of it. I
Dude,
have
you
a
got to
hard
watch
time.
that.
I
You
have a
got
hard
you got to
time-
watch you got to watch that not all. You don't even have to watch all of the Animatrix. Just the one episode on there that what's it called, the Renaissance. Renaissance, I think it is, parts 1 and 2. And it's a real quick watch. It's actually on YouTube, man, and it tells the entire story like in probably about 15-20 minutes.
All right.
Like it tells the entire story, and I'll tell you, it'll break your heart because it'll change the way you feel about those movies, especially about the humans and
we
we
suck
like,
in that movie, dude.
aside from the
I was rooting for the robots. I was rooting for the robots in that. I'm like, I was rooting what they do to the robots and how they turn things into what they are, and like what happens to the air. That wasn't the robots, and they show you how it happens. And humans in that movie are pieces of garbage. Man. Like I said, I'm rooting for the robots and that whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's another reason why I'm interested to see what this movie does, because like, how does that story now unfold differently knowing all of that? You know what I mean? Knowing all of like what really happened and stuff. And so where do you go with that story? You know, knowing that it was the humans who scorched the sky. It was the humans who caused all of that destruction and forced themselves to have to go underground. It wasn't the robots. So
no, Morpheus said that in the first movie. We scorched the sky, and then we lived underground.
Yeah, but until you get to see it, though, you get to see why they did it. They did it to deprive them of their solar power.
See, I was kind of a normie with regards to the Matrix stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved the first one. It was ahead of its time, like visually speaking.
Thought the second one was better too.
The music kind of fell off on the second one a little bit.
Oh, I love
the third one couldn't do it. It was so weird. I just was like, all right, moving on.
The third one should have been attached to the second one. They really should have made that one long movie because it just really tails off.
You do suck, has it? He's like humans suck.
They really suck in that one though.
Pretty much,
they're chasing them to an island, and they just can't live with the fact that the robots just want to live their own lives, and the robots aren't the evil ones in this. The humans are. You know, and then you're like, ugh. And
so here's for all the MCU fans. Here we go. It's rumored that Black Mirror's, and I kind of liked him in what is it? We are the Millers. Yeah. Groundbreaking stuff there. Spider bitten. Make you feel for him right away. But no, he did a great job on Black Mirror though. I'll tell you what, in that Bandersnatch episode, there was like a choose your own ending kind of thing, which was really cool. But it's rumored that Will Poulter will be Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It says, depending upon who you talk to, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 may have found it's Adam Warlock. Saturday morning, rumors quickly spread around the internet suggesting Will Poulter has been cast as the fan favorite cosmic character. The rumors are rooted in a report from the Cosmic Circus, and I don't know who any of these people are. The Cosmic Circus sounds like one of those, you know.
It's Jim Starlin. It's the characters that Jim Starlin created when he first created Thanos. Pip, Gamora, Thanos, Adam Warlock, Magus.
But I mean, as a website, I don't know, like. As a website, it almost sounds like, you know, like we've got this.
Oh, I thought
it's another reputation of the website.
I don't know. This is just something I thought that the casting idea was interesting and thought we'd talk about it. So I'm not saying that this is happening. We'll just say it says, which says their sources. Always somebody has a source. Their sources have indicated that there's been chatter going around behind the scenes that supports the casting claim. Also of note is that as of this writing, James Gunn has yet to debunk the report, which much like he's done with other such internet rumors. though Cosmic Circus makes note that they don't feel comfortable enough to claim it as a definitive report. They suggest all signs are pointing towards it being accurate. Interestingly enough, Will Poulter was once set to star in Amazon's Lord of the Rings television series, but dropped out because of scheduling conflicts. That took place in early 2020, and the series has already been renewed for a second season. Perhaps Poulter and his camp had already been in talks with Marvel Studios, and they didn't want to get locked down because something was brewing. Virtually nothing has been unveiled about the story, other than the fact that it's left some of its cast in a flood of tears. We read it in the same room together and then looked at each other, and we were in floods of tears, Gillen told Yahoo Movies earlier this year. Adding the third movie is so emotional. You're learning more about existing characters and on a deeper level, she said, and I'm really excited at exploring Nebula post-Thanos.
That'd be pretty cool.
Pass.
Yep. Pass.
Yeah, that was one of the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was one of the movies that made me realize that I did not need to see all these movies to get the feel that I wanted to from this overarching story. That's the knock I have against the MCU is that out of the 25 or so movies, about 11 or 12 of them just were something I could have just done without. And now it's streaming in 45-day windows and whatever. I'll see it eventually, but I'm not going to rush to the theater to see this.
That's interesting. I mean, what do you think about the casting though? That possibility of Adam, Will Poulter being cast as Adam Warlock
kind of pisses me off because it's a character that is relevant to the major character that they just went 6 or 7 years going through. I mean, you did Thanos without Adam Warlock. That's like your head existing without your body. And they did that. So now you're going to introduce Adam Warlock in a situation that really, to me, wouldn't as a comic book guy, just not relevant. I mean, it'll be fine, but you're bringing in a character that was literally created to combat Thanos, and you never had him in that whole time, except for that little ribcage thing at the end of one of the movies. So, pass.
Well, I mean, I like the guy. I don't know much about Adam Warlock, but I know that people have been clamoring for him for
years why he was relevant, but I don't know where they're going to do him now. But like I said, he's literally Jim Stardom literally created these characters to interact with each other. And
if he's going to debut, he should debut in a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And that last Guardians of the Galaxy movie kind of, that's what it teased.
Should have debuted in an Avengers movie, but that's depending on. Has nothing.
That's what it teased was Adam Warlock.
And at the time they teased him, if they would have done something with him within one of those next few movies, I could have understood because literally that's Thanos' foil. That's who literally gets the Infinity Gauntlet. So it's Oh well.
Caden Reed here, our newest member of the channel. Welcome, Caden. Says the comic circus is reliable. Okay, I just don't know anything about the comic circus. I've never read the Cosmic Circus, so I'm taking your word for that. Yeah, I mean, but this is interesting to me. You suck says William with a hot take. Enosh having to back up real quick, regroup, and figure out how I'm going to come back at this, right? With from a story point of view. Look, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy series. I really loved Galaxy 1. Galaxy 2 was okay. I didn't think it was horrible. It got a little weird at points, but I didn't think it was horrible. And honestly, Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite parts of the MCU. If I'm being honest, it's just one of my favorite parts. And so the way I look at it is I'm a little concerned for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because pretty sure it's going to have Thor in it.
Definitely.
As an addition. I don't know if that's going to take away from it or add something special to it. We don't know yet. And then also I'm a little concerned about Gamora and how that character is going to be portrayed, because one of the things that I loved was the will they, won't they back and forth with her and Star-Lord. And I'm a little concerned that if they go to this now, are we going to have to kind of go through some of those things all over again? of them kind of building up that relationship, because they built up that relationship over 2 films, and you really felt like there was something special there, that could be. And now I don't know, I just don't know that that's going to be the case, going forward. I don't know what their plans are for that, but maybe they take a direct left turn and go someplace else, but Angie, who's directing 3, it's still going to be James Gunn. Yeah. James Gunn is still directing 3. So, and I mean, we do also have to look forward to in December, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, live action holiday special. So,
wow. Okay.
I mean, now what do you think about that, William? I mean, people are saying that well, why are you just passing on everything though? Like, I don't understand why you're just passing on everything.
Because I fried my brain on this is what it was, and I felt this way when I was watching Venom. That Marvel knee on my back pushing me into the other room that they wanted me to go in, and then another knee or a fist on the back pushing me into another room that they wanted me to go in. And each room I go into, I'm getting less of what I wanted out of that room to begin with. All I'm doing is being pushed along for a narrative that I can get without going to every one of these movies, because not all of them are relevant and not all of them are very good. All right. Like I said, they've released 25 some odd movies, and about, I say between 11 and 12 of them had moved the needle for me in no way, shape, or form. So, will I might like it when I see it on my little 60-inch screen here. But I'm not going to get hype. I'm not going to do like I did for the first couple of rounds, where I was just sprinting from one pole to another, thinking I was really, getting something out of all of these. There was a core of relevant movies, and then there was a lot of fat around the edges that I could just do without. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is one of those. Ant-Man is one of those. I mean, Doctor Strange I liked, but it wasn't a must-see movie for me as far as the overall narrative goes. And like I said, when I went to go see Venom, they cannibalized that movie to get to the end credits. So there was Marvel knee again pushing me into the other room, saying, "Here, William, go in here. You're going to love it. Put this blindfold on."
But I mean, a holiday special is just supposed to be a fun thing. I just don't feel like there's not a lot of expectation for me, at least from a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I mean, RJ was even in here talking about the other night, and so was the chat talking about like the supposed big thing from that is that they're going to introduce Santa Claus. I mean, I was here. I was there on that. Yeah. So I don't really expect like that. Like that's supposed to move the needle. I just feel like
seriously.
I feel like it's supposed to be like a fun holiday special thing that, hey, we get to see our heroes for a little while, and and then we'll.
It's a gimmick, and that's fine. I'm not going to hate it. I'm not going to hate on it. I'm just not going to.
I think that's what I like about the MCU, though. It doesn't take itself too damn seriously. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like DC, but that is one of my criticisms as well. It's like, why does everything got to be so dour and serious? And that goes beyond just that's the Nolan films. It's with exception of the Schumacher Batmans, everything's had that air of seriousness.
Am I dunking on everything? No, there's a difference between thinking something is good and me being compelled to go see it. I'm gonna pass.
I'm not gonna like jump out of my way to go see it in the theaters. I mean, I think the last MCU movie besides Shang-Chi that I watched in the theaters was Ant-Man, the first one.
So Josh Bowen, I'm not hating, I'm not dunking on everything. I'm just not gonna rush to see it.
But I've watched them all though. Like
yeah. I got Disney Plus, man.
Star-Lord and Mantis will hook up. She
could put him to sleep real quick.
Yeah, Mary Wilcox says William's brain is fried. I know how he feels.
It's just I went through this whole thing in 11 years, and like I said, in retrospect, when you see these movies, I didn't really need to see some of these movies to enjoy the whole thing. I enjoyed the art for the most part, but I didn't need to see. Some of these movies I just didn't change my life in no way, shape, or form.
Well, it's like a buffet, Do you always eat the fruit salad?
I eat as much as what? If I paid for something, I'm going to try to eat as much as I can, but if there's some crap on there, guess what? I'm not going to come to that buffet again.
True.
I mean, I didn't. If I get a Thor Dark World in there somewhere, I'm not going to go to your buffet. I'm probably just going to go to McDonald's. This is different. There's just too many mediocre movies in the lexicon of all of this that I'm very skeptical about. Especially if I have Disney Plus as an option, I can wait 45 days. I can wait.
Like I'm a discerning consumer when it comes to that too. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I can wait.
Now Spider-Man, I'm going to go see in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
All right, and Eternals, I'm going to go see in the movie theaters. But all the B-ling and the little tag-along characters and stuff that they've basically used as a tool, to keep you engaged in things that weren't engageable, I'm going to pass on.
Well, Patrick here. Hold on a second. I lost my place here. Patrick here says, sounds like William just needs to take a break from the MCU movies for a while. Captain James Biggin says, William, I understand, man. You sound tired.
Like I said, I see a lot of movies too. Understand? I see a lot of movies, and I just
you do suck. Says William hates the holidays.
He hates Christmas.
That's
it.
He's the hate meister.
I just know that a good percentage of the stuff that they put out, if out of 100%, 30% of it is going to be stuff that I have no use for. So
Mary says, Patrick, that's what I did. I don't regret it. And DL, it sounds like me last week, says they're going to introduce Santa Claus.
Exactly.
Are you
Gold
serious?
standard, ladies and gentlemen. Gold standard, right here.
But hey, you know what? But that was before I knew that Santa Claus was a real character, apparently in the MCU. I still think it's silly. But okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joshing you.
Yeah, and Todd Fair, I don't think they're the gold standard. They're the gold standard for them. But
Williams becoming the Garfield of movies.
No, but here's the thing: the flip side of that is everybody thinks all these movies are great, and you got to be honest. No, not all of them are. Some of them are pretty mediocre.
Yeah,
and guess what? They cost the same exact money as the really good ones do. That's the problem. So, guess what? I got my Disney Plus. I paid my subscription, and I'll watch them there. No,
but Todd, the bad movies that we're talking about are Marvel movies.
Yeah,
so,
Thor: The Dark World is not anybody's gold standard.
That's a whatchamacallit?
Oxymoron.
Well, it's where like you come to a place where like all existence can end because what we're saying is like it's a paradox. Todd Fair with a $5 super chat says there are some bad movies, but thank God for Marvel, the gold standard.
Is that sarcasm or is he being serious? Because they're not the gold standard. They're the gold standard for them.
Yeah.
For their company and their story, which is fine. But like I said, there's too many movies that I wouldn't call the brass standard.
Yeah, just go down to Marvel Sizzlers. You're gonna get a decent steak, but is it Ruth Christie's?
Yeah, I mean, or am I going to go to some place that says they sell steak and I can see through the steak? Not every steak is great, so I don't know. It's just
Spherical Man here says there's probably only one aspect of Endgame I liked, and that was the final battle. But other than that, it was a horrible film that caused more problems for the MCU than it helped.
And it was poorly written. It was poorly written. It was poorly constructed. By like I said, at that point, the fan base that they were going for, it didn't matter. You could have fed them lint out of your pocket.
Slap a Marvel logo on it.
Look, I took all kinds of hell for saying that about Endgame when it first came out. And the thing is what's kind of funny is my take on it has kind of been justified over the last few bits, because a lot of people are talking about like all this stuff that they're doing right now with the multiverse and introducing these two things are all there to try to fix what they did with Endgame. They wanted this big battle, and I get it. They wanted to bring this huge thing to a head and do the whole thing. But in the end, they ended up screwing up a bunch of stuff. And honestly, it rubbed people the wrong way in a lot of ways. And I think that they lost some of us. And then they made it feel too much like an ending where it was like people were like, well, what's next? And the problem was they couldn't anticipate that the pandemic was going to come and totally make it like it was the end, because they weren't going to come out with anything. I mean, because they were coming out with like 4 movies a year, and then it was like nothing, nada's coming out. We're just going to let it hang there now for a year and a half like that,
The only good Endgame, in my opinion, is Highlander Endgame.
Like I said, I thought that movie was a mess. And
William Todd here with another $5 super chat. He put money down on it even and says King Feige has a plan.
I don't doubt that. I don't have to be in on it on all of its movies though. I can pick and choose the ones that I think are going to be the movers and shakers, and I can skip Ant-Man. I can skip Thor: Dark World. I can skip Ant-Man and Wasp. I can skip some of these movies that just really kind of like I said, didn't move the needle for me. And I can come back to them if they become relevant. I got my Disney Plus. Once again, I can come back to those movies. But
it's like macaroni salad, man.
Yeah,
I don't put that
some
on
of
my
these
plate.
movies just aren't worth my money. And people think in the gold standard and everything that Marvel does is great. No, Marvel has done a lot of great movies, but they've done enough mediocre ones to where I have to watch my wallet. I don't want to spend another 10, 20, 30 bucks taking somebody to a movie or more to go and walk out with a Thor Dark World feeling or a Guardians of the Galaxy 2.0 feeling. My money's a little bit more important than that. Sorry.
DS here says William ain't having none of it tonight.
No, and I'm not. It's not a blanket statement. It's just let's be honest. All
you may test that assumption at your convenience.
Oh, it's Chadich.
They act like they got a 25-0 track record of making great movies. They don't.
Well, the problem with it is like anytime you introduce time travel to the situation, unless you're Star Trek, you're not going to pull it off right. Sorry, just
they had
some people would argue that Star Trek doesn't always pull it off right either, though.
Star Trek 6 is the gold standard of time travel movies. I'm sorry.
Wait, Star Trek 6.
Star Trek 4.
Star Trek 4.
That was
wait, what? No, hold on. You can't even decide which Star Trek movie, Brian.
They're all dead, by the way. When they get that close to the sun, they're dead.
That's very true.
That was a lot of fun.
And we'll see you next week on the Muppet Show. Yay!
Enosh, you're not allowed on TikTok anymore. Your TikTok privileges are revoked.
Something is seriously going on between those ears that cannot be explained.
Type one in the chat if you think Enosh has gone too far with these TikTok videos.
And it's escalating. That's the scary part. I don't know what the hell. When I hear the thing, your mic has been muted, I'm like, oh my, what the hell? What's coming? What weird animal human contraption is about to hit the screen? And I'm hoping it's something that doesn't get you canceled, because we know there's videos out there that you might be flirting with that might be like, wow, where's that channel?
Who knows? Right. No.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a good one though. I like that one. Sorry.
It's all good, dude. It was funny.
Angie says here, what took me out of Endgame was one, I could tell it was shot the same time as Infinity War, and two, it was mostly a nostalgic romp.
Yeah. And I hate nostalgia. I hate nostalgia.
You hate nostalgia?
When it's used in that manner. Here's the two examples that I hate when it comes in that. When it's used in a movie like this and Star Wars. That's what ruined Star Wars for me. After The Force Awakens, nostalgia crapped all over what I was really hoping for. You know, nostalgia is good in flashbacks, but when you use it as a spine of your storytelling, that tells me you can't. Your neck can't turn to the future. You're
That's
afraid
JJ
to
though.
jump.
I think
jump forward.
I think JJ's a nostalgia merchant.
No, I think Star Trek fans are nostalgia. You can only be a merchant if you have a customer to sell to. And I think
JJ is the one that is selling the nostalgia.
I don't think that was his. I think if the fan,
if you do it in Star Trek and Star Wars, respectively, like no.
Oh, I don't think he did nostalgia with Star Wars in the way that you're thinking. He basically cut them loose. What he did with the 2009 movie is he cut them loose. He basically said, we're gonna do this. You want a Kirk type movie in this era, because that was the mandate. That was what Paramount told him he was going to do. So that was set before he even signed a contract. But he did it his way. He basically cut that timeline and said, we're not going to go with your timeline, so you can't take the Roddenberry Bible and throw it at me, because guess what? I just cut your lifeline away. Now I'm taking this ship where I want to go. You can jump on this ship or you can sink to the bottom. He took a gamble on that, and it paid off. It paid off. So that was nostalgia in a way that was rerouted into relevancy. That's a different than what Star Wars did. Star Wars just can't let go of 1977, 1980, and 1982. They just can't. They're so afraid that they will drown if they let go of these characters that are in their 60s, 70s in some cases, that they can do it. And guess what? If they get too old and drop dead, we'll just put your face on somebody else or recast you.
Yeah,
you know, so
sure.
DL here says Infinity War and Endgame have logic gaps and plot holes up the you know what, which but this goes to this next Todd says yeah, but no plot holes in Snyderverse, LOL. So here's what I'll say to that.
Edit it out, yeah.
If you look at the actual Zack Snyder movies, if they're left alone and you don't have interference from Warner Brothers, and you allow Zack Snyder to make his films, and you don't have any of the Justice League BS to water it down and to throw you off and get you off on another track, and then the fact that they jumped off of Justice League to make Aquaman or make Shazam or make, Wonder Woman 84 or whatever, and it stays in, like, if you just go by his movies, Zack doesn't leave any plot holes. The things that people felt were plot holes were actually being answered, but you had to get his 5-movie arc. And that was the point. And so far in the 3 that we've gotten so far, look, people came down on Batman v Superman about a bunch of stuff. And then all of a sudden they saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it changed a lot of their tone towards Batman v Superman because they started understanding it a little bit more, because where Justice League didn't do any favors to anybody trying to make sense of it, because, Joss Whedon just wanted his own way on there, and so did Warner Brothers. I don't know, man. I'd be hard pressed to find much that's in there. The AMBW channel here says MCU is the popular girl at school that everyone says is cool, but is shallow and empty.
I said it's a sausage factory, man. After a certain set of movies, they just started cranking them out, like Kibasa, here's a little bratwurst, some knockwurst for you, a wiener. Yeah.
It was just the main, and like I said, with the Zack Snyder thing, that's a key example of not letting the storyteller, and not just Warner Brothers and the executives, the fans did not have the patience to let Zack Snyder tell his story because of the way that the other franchise was doing things. They wanted, and some of the people who had watched other DC movies, they want the finished product that those previous interdictions of those characters were, without letting the one that you're seeing in front of you grow and evolve. They wanted to see the finished. They wanted to see Christopher Reeve flying out of the telephone booth immediately, sentence 1, verse 1 of any brand new Superman movie. They don't want to see the one that Zack Snyder created to grow into what that could possibly be. They have that finished product in their head, and they can't let that go. So that's why when they say that's not my Superman, well, the Superman that you're claiming was your Superman wasn't that before you saw the movie. So it's a lot of it's narrow-minded people who and the executives just chase them around. They chase them around like a chihuahua in the yard. Oh, what do you want, fans? What do you want? I think I know what you want. Here, let me do this. And they end up ruining franchises. If you'd have just let the original story of the Star Wars sequel trilogy play out, if they had just had a plan going through and they just stuck to it, you wouldn't have had that mismatch that you had those last 2 movies. Those last 2 movies sucked for me.
Hey, William, can you address this? Because I don't know anything about the Endgame comic. That it was the same as the movie. I don't see.
Are you talking about the adaptation? Yes, the adaptation was, but are you talking about the storyline that they are adapting? I don't understand the question.
I don't know. Was there? I mean, I know that there was. I know that there was Civil War, but Civil War was completely different in the movie than it was.
It was different in a way, but
like in the Infinity Gauntlet saga was one way, which was completely different in the movie than it was.
Yeah. Thanos is an idiot. Thanos, basically, how the Infinity Gauntlet ends in the comics is Thanos is an idiot. He tries to merge with eternity and doesn't realize that the gauntlet is not a corporal thing that he can take with him. It hits the ground, and his half burnt up granddaughter, who for some reason he's been dragging around as a trophy, picks it up and undoes everything. That's basically how it happens in the comic. One of the worst crossovers, and that was in the early to mid 90s. That was what I called the watered down era of comics that really started to hurt, when all the huge, massive crossovers. In the 80s, they did it right. You had the Mutant Massacre, you had Fall of the Mutants, you had really small crossovers that would cross over to the main books, and then they would cross over to like a Thor or Daredevil. And they made money off of that, and it got really good. So they elevated into the 90s, where you had Maximum Clonage, you had Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Crusade, Infinity Watch, and all of them had chromium colors. And it was a horrible story. The Infinity Stone story was probably one of the worst stories that Marvel ever put out, and it wasn't what Jim Starlin meant. Jim Starlin didn't mean for it to grow that way. They brought him back to bring Thanos back, and because they had him writing Silver Surfer. And he brought him back in Silver Surfer in 34 to basically wipe out half of the life. And it was supposed to last maybe 6 or 7 issues. And it grew on to like almost 50 some odd comics were part of that. And then they based the entire movie franchise off of what I consider to be the worst crossover they ever did. But how it ends in the comics is different than how it ends on the thing. He's just an idiot in the comics.
Sorry to hear this, Josh. Like I actually really like the Shazam film. The Shazam film is one of my faves. I really like it, and I can't wait to see the next one. And then I agree with DC Talk with Extended. What's up, man? Says Henry Cavill is my Superman. That's how I feel. So I feel
he's my Superman now. I mean, at this point in my life, he is my Superman.
Yep. Oops. Hold on a second here.
Don't feed trolls.
Don't feed trolls. Okay. And then we got this, and that is where is it here? So for the new Willy Wonka movie, we got a first look at Timothée Chalamet in costume.
That's scary.
As Willy Wonka.
Okay, so what's the angle on this one?
I look like Clockwork Orange. It looks like a colorful version of Clockwork Orange instead of the
white.
I mean,
are we going like by the book this time, or I mean, like
that might not be a good idea.
Tim Burton.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be a good idea. No,
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, are we going for the horror aspect of it? Because the book is kind of.
Yeah, that's like going like Peter Pan. People realize what a mistake that when you actually read Peter Pan, what a piece of trash Peter Pan was. And then you try to get him in there. Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah, I don't think you want to go back to that for sure. But I mean, look, as long as it's better than what's on Croc Plus right now. You know, over there on Croc Plus, they've got this film, of course, which is Willy Doomcock and the Salt Factory. So,
Factory.
So as long as we don't get Willy Doomcock and the Salt Factory,
Willy
Wonka, and we get this, do something with the Oompa Loompas. With the
Oompa Loompas, yeah. So I'll be honest with you, man. That the Johnny Depp movie
is Danny Elfman doing the soundtrack.
The Johnny Depp movie was weird to me. I know that a lot of people said that it was much more like the original. But it was just strange to me. It was creepy, and look, I just got to a point where I actually like Tim Burton stuff, and I like Johnny Depp stuff, but like now it's just kind of feeling played out that everything that they do is just like weird and just creepy for the sake of being creepy, and I think that films should just. Like everything doesn't have to be pulled into that realm necessarily. You know what I mean? Yeah, he does. I agree. He looks very steampunked.
I think it broke me in theaters. That Tim Burton, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, ruined it for me. I watched it in the theaters. I felt like an idiot. I wanted my money back. All these years later.
I saw it at the drive-in. I remember I saw it at the drive-in, and I was like, what in the world?
You got that dude, where's my car feeling, huh? Where I did get my money back for that movie. I lied and said there was a baby crying in there, and there was no baby in the movie.
Was there a double feature?
No.
Yeah. There was at the drive-in. Yeah, at the drive-in there was. Yeah.
At least you got to see 2 movies.
Exactly. The Spherical Man is absolutely right here. I hope they don't explain what snozberries are.
Please don't.
God, please.
If you don't know that story, all I'll say is the creator of the book put out another there was another book that or was it a book or yeah No, what else was it?
That was a short story.
Yeah,
was a short story.
That also explains what snozberries that he used the term snozberries, and snozberries are yeah.
It's like finding out what Scooby-Doo and the Scooby-Doo gang was really doing when their travels across.
They're a part of the male anatomy. We'll just put it that way. So when you now
the one
watch
the one that you're thinking,
that is the one, and that is just legit. That's from the book.
They were licking the wall. Oh,
not from Willy
goodness.
Wonka, not from the Willy Wonka book, but from another book that read, because apparently the writer of Willy Wonka was quite just say he wasn't PG, okay, and a lot of
none of those writers were. None of them were.
No, I know.
Lewis Carroll. You want to read that book again and knowing what how many drug references you can find in that book?
Yeah,
they'd like take laudanum and then write the book.
Yeah.
Well, Lewis Carroll was on heroin when he was writing, so I guess it's understandable.
Yep. So the thing is that it will ruin how you look at Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when you realize they're licking a wall that tastes like snozberries.
Oh, Jesus!
Just saying.
It's kids licking a wall.
Yeah.
How did I get to this point in my life where this came up?
All right. Well, that's that's part of the history of this.
Because everybody loves Gene Wilder's turn as Willy Wonka.
Dude, that's so. It was in the early 70s though. By the time I saw that, I was like, it was kind of dated then.
It was the 90s by the time I saw it.
Yeah, it was like, and then like I said, this is when at the age I started realizing with things like Puff the Magic Dragon and HR Puff and stuff that all these guys were basically using their kids shows to put drug references and countercultures. Scooby Snacks, look that up. Google what a Scooby Snack is, and how'd they make any money? They never took money for solving mysteries.
The continuum transfunctionaire.
Yeah. But we can just read this. Maybe it'll tell us a little something about it. It says Timothée Chalamet steps into a world of pure imagination in the first look image for 2023's Wonka, which features the Oscar nominee in character. Timothée Chalamet reveals a first look image for his upcoming film Wonka, where he plays the iconic candy maker created by Roald Dahl. Already the star of 2 feature films, plus an in-development Netflix animated series, Willy Wonka will once again step into the spotlight with a new prequel movie directed by Paul King, Paddington. Officially announced earlier this year, Wonka will debut in theaters in March 2023 and offer a new story for the well-known character. Chalamet was officially cast in May, and production kicked off recently. In addition to Chalamet, Wonka stars Keegan-Michael Key, Sally Hawkins, Rowan Atkinson, and Olivia Colman. Plot details are still being kept under wraps, but it's certain that the movie will explore Willy Wonka's origins and adventures from before he opened up his world-famous chocolate factory. When Chalamet was cast, it was said Wonka will contain some dance numbers, though it isn't clear if the movie itself is being declared a musical. On Sunday, Chalamet surprised fans by posting the very first picture of himself in character as Willy Wonka. The image reveals him in classic Victorian clothes with naturally a brown top hat. In a second slide, Chalamet shares an up-close peek at another famous Wonka accessory, his cane. The suspense is terrible. I hope it will last. Chalamet wrote as the caption. Check out the post down below. There you go. Hope it will last. And then it says, though the hat and the walking stick add Wonka-esque flares to Chalamet's costume, the overall look feels like it could fit in any kind of classic tale. That doesn't mean it's a bad look. In fact, Chalamet looks delightfully mischievous in this first Wonka shot, hinting his version of the character will be more malevolent than past iterations. Wonka will be touching on untapped aspects of Willy's character, and it already feels like the prequel is leaning into that. Hopefully, this movie will take on its own distinct style while still harking back to Dahl's original story. Many were surprised not only by the news that Willy Wonka is getting an origin story, but also that Chalamet will be the one to play him. Until more is known about Wonka, it's hard to make a judgment call about the project. Still, this is an intriguing first look, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the movie takes shape. Cast members from the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory gave Wonka their blessing, okay, which also bodes well for the new film. With production now well underway, it's full steam ahead. Chalamet's latest starring role.
Ooh.
So there you go, Timothy Chalamet as Willy Wonka. Are you guys excited for it? Are you looking forward to it? Something you don't care about?
It's not in my wheelhouse. I mean, it's intriguing because I think he's becoming a great actor, but it's just not the type of. It's not in my wheelhouse as far as the type of movies I would actually go out and see. It's Willy Wonka's been done a lot of different, so many wacky ways now. I don't, know if there's anything about it that would say, "Hey, let's go out and see it." But if we get if we have to promote it or something like that, I'll go see it. Because I think he's one of those actors that he's becoming one of those actors where whatever he does is he raises the level of the movie no matter what the topic is. He's kind of like what he's Denny Billamy to me, what he is as a director to a movie. I would never give Doom 5 minutes, but I'm going to give it 2 hours and 45 minutes because of the people that are in it and that are making it. So I'm intrigued because he's in it, and I started out hating this guy as an actor. He just didn't grab me. And Call Me by Your Name, I was like, ugh. Not just wasn't for me, but he's been in other stuff so far. I'll give it a chance. I ain't gonna rush to the theaters to see it, but if if the opportunity befalls me, I'll go.
Sure. How about you, Brian? You interested in Willy Wonka?
Respectfully, no. I'd rather watch Dude, Where's My Car again.
I would rather a goat eat my eyeballs while I'm living than watch that movie again.
Freddy Got Fingered. I love that movie.
Absolute worst movie ever of all time. That may be the worst movie of all time.
Freddy Got Fingered?
No, Dude, Where's My Car? Maybe.
Dude, Where's My Car? Really?
Maybe the worst movie
man.
of all time.
Dude, I don't know about that. Come on,
man. Movie of all time.
It had Christy Swanson in it.
So what?
Christy Swanson.
It had Jennifer Garner in it too, and I
did.
try to forget that, even because I like her stuff in Alias and everything else. But worst movie I ever saw. I felt like I was being insulted by the fact that I paid, and I lied. I lied and got my money back.
There you go.
I'm like, there was a kid crying the whole time. Can I have my money?
It was like how I ended up seeing Mars Attacks. I went to go see Star Trek First Contact, but it was raining really bad and the theater was leaking. So they gave us tickets to see other movies, and Mars Attacks was playing at the same time. So I went and saw Mars Attacks.
I'd have just left.
I agree.
I would have been so disappointed that I didn't see Star Trek First Contact. It
was my second viewing, so I wasn't that broken up over it.
I love.
They got my attention at Rowan Atkinson as well. If I'm being honest,
Mr. Bean.
Why isn't? Hold on a second.
Sometimes it's the actor or the director that does it for me. There's some movies I just would not even engage. Westerns. I hate Westerns, but I saw Django, and I don't, I went and saw that. I'll watch the Clint Eastwood Western. I wouldn't have seen Unforgiven if it hadn't been for Clint Eastwood. It's Dirty Harry making it,
Yeah.
I like Gene Hackman. I think Gene Hackman was one of the great actors of all time that does not get the praise, even though he's an Academy Award-winning legend. He just kind of fits in the movies he's in.
Like Tombstone and Young Guns, man.
Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Him and Denzel Washington. Even though that movie was complete BS of how they would handle that situation, it was one of the most entertaining. I went to see that with my Master Chief uncle, who served on one of these.
A Navy man, and he's like, "Yeah, that's not how it would happen."
He's like, he enjoyed the performance, but there's no way that is not how that would happen. That is not how that would happen. What'd you do to Enos?
I don't know.
Well, since he's gone, screw that guy. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
he was looking all weird and cross-eyed, then he disappeared. Maybe he didn't like Crimson Tide.
Sorry.
Well, anyway, but yeah, Gene Hackman's great. But like I said, if I do go see this Willy Wonka movie, it's because there's stars in it that I like seeing in their movies. Sometimes that leads me astray though, because sometimes I've seen some really awful, like Carlito's Way. I love Al Pacino, but Carlito's Way.
That movie sucks. The only reason I have it is because it came in a two piece with Casino.
Oh my god, that is the only way to get it. That is one of the worst movies that I had so much high hopes for that. I'm like, I'm gonna go see Carlito's Way. This is gonna be a great movie. I'm in for something special. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. And even the greatest can have a bad day at the office, you know.
Look, I love Napoleon Dynamite.
Casino and Carlito's Way.
There you go. I hated Napoleon Dynamite the first time I saw it because I saw it by myself, and then the second time I saw it with others, and I laughed my butt off. But hey, I will say this: there's a special place in my heart for this film right here. They're just.
Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausages?
Sausages.
I never get tired of that, man.
I love that movie.
No, I never get tired of that term. That Daddy, would you like some sausage? I mean, the sausage is all hanging.
Tom Green.
Yeah.
You know that guy had a show for about 8 minutes.
It was the most amazing show on television.
Come on, you can't say for 8 minutes. That dude, look, Tom Green. Yes,
he had a show on MTV. That
he faded out. He faded out. But Tom Green, at the time,
his bum was on the cheese.
Tom Green hit the stratosphere, man. Tom Green was through the roof, and he married Drew Barrymore.
True.
Yeah. Okay, that was.
I'm just saying, you can't take away from Tom Green what he accomplished. Was he stupid? Was he crazy a little bit? Was he doing stuff that like I wouldn't do? Heck yeah.
He did some stuff. He did one of the things that made me not even be able to.
But he made some money doing stuff like this.
Would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausages?
So does Steve-O from Jackass. That doesn't make it any good. But
he was more than Steve-O, though. Come on.
This guy he had testicular cancer. I'm glad he survived, but he went and got his operation. This guy showed the ball on his show. He showed it to Drew Barrymore. He's like, look what.
And then he sang a song. I remember the song too.
Are you kidding me, dude? I can never look at you again in anything, and without that being in my that is seared into my psyche. I did not see that. You got to warn me when you're going to do stuff like that.
He put his co-host's phone number up for public for everyone to see in Times Square. Oh man, I love that show. The Tom Green show was amazing.
It didn't last that long, though.
No, it was like maybe a year, 2 years, maybe. Yeah. It was just like in that whole like condensed late 90s, early like around 2000.
MTV was like, we don't need music anymore. But let's remember Remote Control.
Oh yes,
Get over it. They had IRL and all this other stuff. I remember
Colin Quinn was the host on that show.
Oh, Colin Quinn was hilarious. Maricel Massey. I remember all those people on that show because they went on to be comedians and do other things anywhere else.
Okay,
but, wow, Benadryl works.
Okay, so hold on. So it aired. So the problem is that show started. His show didn't start on MTV. Okay, his show was a Canadian show.
Oh, that explains it.
And then MTV ended up taking it over. So it ran for 3 seasons. Okay, and then the Comedy Network picked it up for 2 seasons. And then MTV picked it up for 3 seasons.
It was on for that long?
Yeah. So altogether, it did. On Rogers 22, it says in Canada, it was on for 50 episodes, 3 seasons. And then the Comedy Network picked it up for 26 episodes. And then MTV did 3 seasons for 29 episodes. But I believe, if I'm correct, MTV also showed episodes from the other incarnations of the show. So they only did technically 3 seasons at MTV, but so it looks like he had about 8 seasons of that altogether. So I mean, he developed a following, man. Yeah, he developed quite a following. I mean, so much. I mean, look, Eminem was rapping about him. Stuff. My bum is on your lips. My bum is on your lips. I mean, that's
might just give him
a little kiss.
You know what? It's an acquired taste.
Then he came back in 2003 because they revived it at MTV called The New Tom Green Show.
That was post-death MTV, though. That was after MTV had gone. Hey, watch
that show ran for 51 episodes.
Yeah. Watch MTV's documentary. There's a certain time where they reached to the point where they were just the people that were working at MTV were miserable about what they were putting out from like 1999 to about 2006. And then they show the turnover of all the people that left. and you see them all leaving. They go from the original VJs like Martha Quinn all the way up to the people when Viacom came in, and they were just dogging on their own shows and their own the Real World. Some of the original people started it, and then it became like a goofy cartoon, a caricature of itself.
Oh yeah,
it was just, and then Road Rules. They just started putting out so much stuff. It was like sensory overload. And then you realize that 10 years ago, you guys were playing videos. You guys were the only place that I could watch videos. Oh well.
Yeah, well, I mean that show. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean the thing is MTV, was known for being, music television. I mean that's what people watch for. But the thing is that I think over time that nuance kind of ran out.
Yeah, because times changed. Yeah, so
because times changed, and that nuance ran out, and they started filling it with all this programming. But then at least there was a while there where like you'd get programming. You get actual like scripted shows, or The Real World, which is basically just a glorified scripted show, anyways. But you would have a lot of music still there. You know what I mean? And like now, it's like when MTV does a thing, like it's like a half-hour show of music, and then everything else is like ridiculousness, which I like.
Reruns of ridiculousness.
Don't get me wrong, I love ridiculousness.
Don't they have a channel for that now? Don't they have another?
Yeah, it's called MTV.
Yeah, it's called
MTV2 or something like that.
No. It's just normal MTV. That's all they play is reruns of ridiculousness.
And Brian, you know what the crazy thing is they literally have a new episode of ridiculousness every night. A new episode.
Been going for years.
It's cheap to make. It's cheap to make.
Yeah, it's super cheap to make. But they with the last season or so of ridiculousness, they went from doing like one a week to doing one every night, because my DVR filled up with like 75 episodes of ridiculousness.
Jesus.
And there was like, because we used to watch it together, like the family would sit down and watch ridiculousness, because like we'd be eating dinner, and maybe we'd watch a movie, and that would be on after the movie, and we'd be like, let's watch ridiculousness.
Listen to
and
Chanel
so,
West Coast snort like a pig.
Oh dear God. Michelle West Coast. Michelle West Coast. I called her Michelle. No, look, did you ever see the argument that she got into with Charlemagne the God on that episode, where like he was acting like she was a joke with her music and stuff? Oh, it was classic, dude. She gets so ticked off, and she gets into a fight with Charlemagne, and like he's just like I care, like who are you? Like she's like, I've worked with Snoop Dogg, and I've worked with this person, and that person is like, and nobody has your album.
Nobody cares.
Like, I know that Rob Dyrdek has really tried to make you a thing. Now, I will say this. The last thing that she ever showed on ridiculousness, like music-wise, was her actually getting away from that whole trying to be like a hip-hop star.
Oh, jeez.
And she actually did like this song where she sang. And like me and the entire family looked at each other, and we went, wow. Like, that was actually good. Like she wasn't over makeuped or in a club or like, pouring champagne all over everybody or anything. She was just like out in a field in a sundress, and like she just looked normal, and she was singing, and we were all like, well, dang, that's what she should have been doing the whole time. Cause that whole, like, I'm a white girl in a different world is not working for you. And I know that she like guested on a couple of people's songs or whatever, but like they weren't like the big hits from anybody. But like I like ridiculousness. I just don't need 5 nights in a row of ridiculousness. And because then they show the 5 nights, and then like you said, it's all reruns all day long of ridiculousness, except for a couple of the other shows that they do. And I'm just like, good. You know what I would take at this point? I would take reruns, man, from like the original like 90s, like Real Worlds and stuff like that. Because man, those first 3 seasons of
Real Worlds, yeah.
The first 2 or 3 Real Worlds were really good, and stuff. But man, like everything now, I swear, why is it that they try to push down? Look, this is where I will say that like Hollywood and society, like as far as like television and stuff like that, it is trying to warp people's brains as to what reality is. Because I swear to you, like when you watch a show like that and all you see is like a bunch of people get together in a house or on a game show, and all anybody is trying to do is hook up with each other because they're all supposedly beautiful people who like work out all the time and have perfect bodies and stuff. Like, really? Is that Is that what the real world is?
No.
Are we just going to a game show now to see if we can hook up with literally everybody on the show now? Like, okay, if that's your world, you need to talk to somebody, because that's pretty sad. Like, I'm just saying, and it's all just like a drunken debauchery. And look, I don't come down. Like, people have their own choices to make in life. I'm just saying, I don't know that it's so healthy to be broadcasting some of the stuff that gets broadcast. But look, Liquid Television, bring back Liquid Television or something like that.
Beavis and Butthead, Eon Flux.
Heck yeah, man! Oh, Eon Flux was so good, man. Like,
was
just
so violent.
All those.
She would die every time, and she died every episode.
I know, man. And look, here's a guy who's taken a lot of flack the last couple of days. Dave Chappelle's show, which was on Comedy Central. Wow. It wasn't on.
I'm surprised that show lasted one episode with the content that it had. I mean, it
was
the
first good, episode.
It hit every nerve.
You know what I loved about the first episode of Chappelle's show was that I worked for Kinko's, and so he did that. He did the pop copy thing, and dude, we laughed hysterically.
The Rick James thing, the Nathan Rigsby, where he's a blind Klansman, and he's just dropping in. He's the only comedian, and this is a show that had Eddie Murphy on it. The only comedian that SNL ever allowed to drop the N-bomb on live television. He's the only one that could get away with that in his monologue. Everybody else, nope, you can't do it. Dave Chappelle, yeah, do whatever you want. But Nathan, the Rick James one, I think I tore a muscle laughing at that so hard because they actually had Rick James in there. Charlie Murphy, what you gonna do? I'm Rick James. You Charlie Murphy, get out of here. And he's on the couch. I didn't mess up your couch. And then you hear Rick James slowly. I remember putting my feet on the man's couch. Cocaine's a very powerful drug. That is the funniest thing. Oh, my goodness.
Hell of a drug.
I tell you what, man, I could just watch that show. Like, I've got the entire thing on DVD because I could just sit and watch that show. Like, even watching old episodes of that show, it never gets old.
Ray Brady,
Game.
He's gonna have to choke a bitch when he's shooting him.
Prince can ball.
Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah.
Charlie
Called
Murphy.
The shirts versus the blouses.
And they actually got Charlie Murphy. I mean, they actually got these people to do it. And this is Rick James right before he passed away, too. So Rick James is in there looking like, and they kept out, why did you do all this stuff? And he kept saying cocaine's a very powerful drug. And he knew. Rick James knew about cocaine. That's for damn sure. Unfortunately, too much about cocaine.
I just, look, you know what I love about Dave Chappelle is that Dave Chappelle is not afraid to say things the way that they need to be said. And look, I look at Dave Chappelle as somebody who, like, he slaps the face of all this stuff. Even when, like, this last weekend when they were trying to, like, cancel him or whatever, and he's just like, oh, this is what being canceled is like? Great. Bring it on. Like, he just don't care.
What did he do? Because I haven't watched the special yet.
Well, I haven't watched the special either. I may watch it when I get done here. But the thing is that, like, supposedly he made some comments. I've heard some different things about it. I've heard some people say that, like, he set up the entire thing of, like, hey, we're going to poke fun at everybody, because he always pokes fun at everybody. Anybody going to a Dave Chappelle show should know that by now.
Comedy's dead.
But
I watched the special.
Did you?
People are overreacting.
Are they?
Well, I mean, would you say the same thing to George Carlin?
Would he pick somebody out in the crowd and dog him?
No.
He apparently made some jokes.
He said some stuff about trans people.
Oh,
and you know how it is. People took it. The problem is that that's why comedy is dead, in my opinion, because that's what comedy is supposed to do.
Yeah. See, I have more of a problem. It may be off color and people say words matter. I have less a problem with a transgender making a joke about a transgender person than somebody getting the hell beat out of them because they're transgender. That I have a problem with.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. There's a very big difference between that.
Like, you can't tell me that
it's the same thing.
Joke is leading to violence. So.
It's the same thing that I talk about, even being like, a Christian or a minister or whatever. Like, I love watching shows like South Park or like Family Guy when they make fun of Christians or whatever, and like the stereotypical stuff that you see. And I can take that because you should be able to poke fun at yourself, and you should be able to see how, like, there are things that need to change, right? In all aspects of life, in all backgrounds. And so
get that conversation started, man. Don't run
It's
away.
supposed to push your boundaries. How else are you supposed to exactly? How are you supposed to start the conversation if you don't push the boundaries a little bit? And that's what comedy is all about, man. It's like that's why I say it's dead now, because nobody does that anymore.
Well, everybody's sensitive. Nobody can take a joke.
Would Lenny Bruce be able to tell jokes these days?
Well, Lenny Bruce would have been drug off the stage and thrown out. Lenny Bruce would have they'd have found a way to put him behind bars or something.
Yeah. They'd be like,
in hell.
Your words are violence.
And we couldn't even take Andrew Dice Clay past the 90s.
Oh,
that guy. He got busted. There's a guy, he made a joke about Jewish people. I mean, some really hardcore stuff. And somebody thought he was Italian. So they were like complaining, how are you going to make him anti-Semitic? This and his response was obviously, if you can do it in his voice, I'm a blanking Jew. What are you talking about? And then he got on Arsenio Hall, and then he was just getting heat. But he wouldn't have laughed, dude. Andrew Dice Clay now, oh my goodness, he wouldn't get a stage anywhere. And we've become a little bit more sensitive. Back in the 80s, you could see and do anything you wanted to.
Yeah,
and everybody laughed, man. I'm sorry. You could drop all kinds of bombs, and there was implied racism on just about every show. Even the shows that were supposed to be about kumbaya stuff would have racist elements in it, or make fun. There was an episode of Golden Girls that approaches racism, and remember, we're talking about a bunch of old white ladies, and they're approaching racism, and it was pretty much under the undertones were strong. But you know what? They started a conversation that nobody wanted to have at the time. So there you go. But that's the 80s. I miss the 80s in that respect, because people weren't so sensitive. Damn, nobody canceled. You know what got canceled in the 80s?
True.
Well,
hey, man, DC Talk, thank you for being here tonight, man. Thank you to everybody for being here tonight. We had some good conversations tonight about a great deal of many things. Yeah, look, I don't know, man. I love Chappelle. I love that kind of comedy. I really don't want comedy to be dead. I don't want comedy to be dead. I want people to be able to do. I think it's interesting. Isn't Chappelle married to an Asian woman?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there was like a thing that he said once that like people thought that he was like racist towards Asians, and he's like, I don't know.
I just saying. I think comedy is dead because you can't do comedy.
It's supposed to take it seriously.
It's supposed to be offensive. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, that's the point people miss by a country mile. It's like comedy's supposed to be offensive.
Well, and the thing is people will attack and attack and attack until literally they're in they've backed themselves into such a corner where it's like they have nothing else to, and then they think that it just stands on that just because they said it. And the reality is there's lots of things that separate us. Okay. We need to be able to laugh at things, I think, sometimes to get through those barriers, and to be able to poke fun at ourselves and to realize, hey, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Let's treat each other like equals, and understand that. And, I think that's kind of the point of that, really at the end of the day. But I thank you guys for being here, because I consider you all equals, and I love you all. Everyone who watches Poindexter Lounge, you are all great, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you guys stopping by for a couple of hours when we do the show. So that's all I got for tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow night with some more fun stuff for sure. And until then, Brian, you want to tell everybody where they can find you, sir?
Yeah, you can find me on my channel, Brian Master of None. I do periodic live streams. I'm hoping to get one in on. I said it was gonna be Tuesday, but I'm actually off Wednesday. So Wednesday afternoon, we'll be discussing stories from my fast food career.
Dude, if they go after Weird Al Yankovic,
they've already tried.
They already tried.
Yeah.
They tried, and they've tried a couple of times, and
the Amish went after him.
Yes, well, it wasn't. It was Coolio. Went after it. Coolio went after it because, see, Weird Al. Look, one thing you need to know about Weird Al, and I'll just say this about Weird Al. Weird Al is like one of the most respectful people that you'll ever see anywhere. And so he does not need permission from anybody to make the song parodies that he makes. He gets permission, and he will not do a song that he doesn't have permission to do. That's why he never did a Prince song, for example, right? And like he wanted to do Live and Let Die. He wanted to do Live and Let Die, but he wanted to change it to Chicken Pot Pie. And what's his name?
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney told him, said, no, can't you make it anything else? Because like I'm a vegan and a vegetarian. He says, and I don't want that. You know, I wouldn't be comfortable with you making that. And so it's like Weird Al just dropped the whole thing. Right. I mean, and like, you know, even with Nirvana and everything, like there's plenty of bands and groups that like have said like they knew that they made it when they knew Weird Al wanted to parody them. The problem was that there's only been 2 times where he's had some controversy. The first was with Coolio, because there was the Gangsta's Paradise song, and he wanted to make it Amish Paradise. Now, anybody who has seen Amish Paradise, the video, or that heard that song, you know, it's a classic song both ways. It was a classic rap song by Coolio, and it's a classic Weird Al song. The thing is that after the song blew up and became what it did, Coolio gave some interviews where some people in his circle of friends and people that he was around started giving him a hard time about it because he let Weird Al kind of poke fun at. Now, look, Weird Al never poked fun at the content of the song Gangsta's Paradise. Obviously, that was from the movie with Michelle Pfeiffer, where she was the teacher. And
Dangerous Minds.
Yeah, Dangerous Minds, right? And so yes, that song definitely dealt with a serious topic at the time, right? You know what I mean? And it was a serious topic, but everybody signed off on it, and everybody knew that they signed off on it. And Weird Al did Amish Paradise. Well, in some subsequent interviews, Coolio said, "Oh, well, no, I didn't really give permission for that. Al just did it anyways." And, acted like he didn't, that he had never given permission to Al. And he did that for a long time. And when Al was questioned about it, Al just simply said, he did. That I wouldn't have done the song. If Coolio had ever said no, I wouldn't have done the song, because that's what Al does. And everybody in the industry knows that about Al at this point. So, and Al has done that to his detriment, because actually there's been 3 times. 2 times it worked out okay. The 1 time it did not. The other time that it ended up working out was with Lady Gaga, with her song Born This Way, because he wanted to do the song Perform This Way, which was off one of his last albums. And it was joking about her and like all of her crazy, outfits and stuff like that. And so he did that. Well, they had the song done, everything was good to go, and then all of a sudden her PR people turned him down after the song was done and said, "No, we don't want you to do this." They were worried about her rep somehow being damaged by Weird Al doing a song, which is the absolute most ridiculous thing that you could worry about with a Weird Al song. But they were worried about that. Well, the internet was a thing now, and people took to the internet to tell Lady Gaga exactly what they thought of her, because apparently more people cared about Weird Al than they cared about Lady Gaga's rap, which is saying a lot, actually, because Lady Gaga is huge, but people were giving her like heck over this. Was like, how could you turn down Weird Al? Why would you turn down Weird Al? Like, what are you doing? And so the thing is a couple of days later, all it took was a couple of days, and all of a sudden here comes Lady Gaga, and she's on the horn, and she's like doing these interviews and saying these things and saying, "Nope, I never knew about this. Nobody ever even approached me about this. I don't have a problem with Weird Al doing a parody of my thing." And actually her and Al came together, and all the proceeds ended up going to some animal rights thing and stuff. And so that ended up being taken care of. The one that didn't, surprisingly, is Eminem. So I think it's the Alapalooza, or not. No, it's not Alapalooza. Oh gosh.
There is one on Alapalooza that Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers didn't like Bedrock Anthem.
He didn't like there wasn't an like he never like it wasn't like they challenged him doing the song. Flea was just quoted later as saying that he felt that he was a little disappointed.
He could have done something better
because he felt like Al could have come up with something better than Yabba Dabba Doo Ya to their song, whatever. And so I get that. I mean, you can have your own personal taste in it, but they still signed off on it and let him do it because they wanted him to do it. Now with the with the a local boy kicked me in the butt last week. I just smiled at him and I turned the other cheek.
I quoted in there earlier. I was like, I'm the pious guy the little omelets want to be. I'm on my knees day and night scoring points for the afterlife. Now don't be vain and don't be whiny, or else my brother I might have to go medieval on you, Heiny. I love that.
Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah, it was Poodle Hat, Spherical Man. It's Poodle Hat. It's the first song off Poodle Hat. It's called Couch Potato, and it's a parody of Eminem's "Lose Yourself," and it's really hilarious. It's talking about like all these different shows to be able to watch and everything on your TV, but like nothing's good and everything sucks, and stuff. And the thing is because that show goes. You're gonna lose your mind watching TV. They told me, they sold me. I still watch it every show. My cable gets C-SPAN, TV Land, and HBO, the Sci-Fi Channel, and Playboy, and something in Lifetime. Anyways, and he just goes like down all these shows and like how they all suck and nothing's ever good on TV. But the thing is that Eminem signed off on it. And he's like, yeah, go ahead and do it. So like. It's an Eminem song, and "Lose Yourself" was huge from the movie 8 Mile, man. That song was huge. Yeah, the song was everywhere. And so Weird Al was like, yes. And so like they did it. And this is why Poodle Hat never had another song get released, because, and it actually led to Straight Outta Linwood, the next album, and what happened with that, because Weird Al, they went and made a music video for Couch Potato. The record company spent, I can't remember how much it was, but they spent like a couple $1 million on it or something like that. Like this music video, right? Shot the whole thing. The thing was poised to be the first single off of his album, and to put that video out there. And at the last minute, after the album was coming out, everything was locked in, Eminem came forward and said, hey, you can do the song on your album, but I don't want you making a music video of it. Now, Weird Al could have said, tough noogies, we just spent, over $1 million on this video, like that's the budget for this. We got to recoup some of that, and we got to, do this, whatever, to be able to do anything else. And you know what Weird Al did? Weird Al said, okay. And then the record company said, well, we're not going to pay for another music video for another song. We're not going to release another song then as a single, because that was it. That's what all the promotional marketing budget went for. And so Weird Al took the hit on that Poodle Hat album because of his morals, and because he had something legally, he could do anything he wanted to. Eminem could not have stopped him in the least bit, because it's a parody. But Al is famously known for respecting the community, respecting the industry, and he doesn't want to make any enemies. And so he pulled it. That was to his detriment. And so then when Straight Outta Linwood came out, they did something a little different. He released 8 music videos leading up to the release of his album. So all these different songs that were on the album, each day you got a new music video, and it was awesome. It was amazing. Great promotional way to put that out there. And but that's why the Straight Outta Linwood album, it's got like a couple music video, like, because it's got White and Nerdy, that he did with Key and Peele, and that's like a concept video. And then there's like all these other videos, some are animation, different things like that. And but that's how he did it. He did Word Crimes, which was all like letters and stuff. He's not like actually physically in it, but then like that helped also, for other ones, like he did the Happy, because I'm happy, but it was because I'm tacky, you know, and that like he called in a bunch of friends for that. Like what's his name was in that from Tenacious D, Jack Black. Jack Black was in it, and a few other celebrities were in that one, and some other people, and you know, so good stuff, man. Weird Al is one of the most stand-up guys, and I'll tell you what, Weird Al is one of the real ones that, and I would love to meet Weird Al one day. I that would be like, that is if you're wondering how the mind of Enosh Fee works and what I would love to see, I would love to meet Weird Al or have him here on the channel one day. That'd be it for me, man. That would be, yeah, heck yeah, be good stuff. So, anyways, yes, trapped in a drive-through. Oh my gosh!
And every time I hear Don McLean's American Pie, I think
I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he said, "Sorry, what were you saying again?"
Sorry, I didn't even mean to interrupt. No, every time I hear Don McLean's American Pie, I think of the Phantom Menace.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that little Anakin guy.
Maybe Vader someday later. Yeah.
Just a small fry.
Jeez.
Yeah, Word Crimes is a great song. Albuquerque, oh my gosh, oh my god, I love his long form original songs. He's got tons of original songs too. That
everything you know is wrong. Just rehearse the words and sing along. You know, he has a whole album full of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, good guy. So, anyways, guys, thanks for being here. Don't forget to look up William at the Sci-Fi Center in Las Vegas, and he can help you out with a bunch of cool stuff out there, whether it be toys or comic books.
I'm giving away Dune tickets. Anybody wants to come on?
There you go. And if you're in Vegas, go visit him. I'm gonna say, go visit the man.
Right.
And go subscribe to this guy. If you're not subscribed to Brian, go subscribe to Brian.
What are you doing?
What are you doing, man? What are you doing with your life? Go subscribe to Brian, for goodness sake. Don't forget to check us out on social media. All the links are in the description below. Become a member of the channel for exclusive videos and giveaways and fun stuff, or join the Patreon. All those links, like I said, are in the description. And look, we're just glad to have you all here along for the ride at the Poindexter Lounge. We got our Teespring, where we got lots of great gift ideas that you can do for the holidays coming up, whatever holidays you celebrate. And they don't all say Poindexter Lounge on them. Some have got some other just funny things, man. And it's good stuff. Yes, Angie, Weird Al walked so the Lonely Island could run. And you know what's great is to see there's a video where the Lonely Island did something with Weird Al, which I love that. Benson's says Brian looks like Kevin James today.
There you go. I'll take it.
Kevin James is Brian in the Poindexter Lounge story. That's how we ended out. Yes.
I don't know about that.
No, you don't want that?
Well, no,
that's not the upgrade you were looking for.
No, well, the thing, my issue with Kevin James movies is, we get it, you're fat, but you don't have to like tell that be your only joke. It's like, oh man, I'm fat, Paul Blart. You know, it's like, dude, come on. And he's not even that fat. It's like, bro, you've got personal trainers and stuff. Like,
he's lost weight at many times.
Yeah.
He's lost weight at many times.
I don't know. It's cool.
Don't forget, once again, speaking of Mark there at Benson's Emporium, visit Benson's Emporium online. Benson's, Mark, our good friend, gave us this Batman The Long Halloween. And this is our next giveaway that we'll be giving away. So all you got to do to be in for this giveaway is to be a patron, a member, or give a super chat at any time between now and when we give it away, and you will be in the running.
Unless I win it and give it away.
Unless you win and give it away. There you go.
No,
your name's on the list, so you could theoretically win it, but he said to give it to somebody else if he does. So there you go. So like I said, this can come in there. And then, like I said, people have been asking me lately if I would sign the stuff. Like, if you want it signed, I'll sign it. If you don't want it signed, it's not going to offend me. But if you want it signed, we'll sign it. Me, the whole family, whoever you want it to sign it. There you go. So, guys, thanks for joining me tonight. Thanks to everyone in the chat. You guys make life awesome, and you make doing this a lot of fun. And then, of course, thank you to everyone who gave super chats tonight, and thank you for all of your inputs. You guys are all awesome, and I'm very, very thankful for each and every one of you. So, all right, and you know what? I'll just say this. For those who don't like me, well,
you want to hurt me? Go right ahead if it makes you feel any better. I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. I also listen too much. I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings. When you think what you want about me, I'm not changing. I like me. My kids like me. My friends like me. Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
That's right.
Truth.
And this is what you see, and this is what you get. Don't tell anybody else that don't. Well, I had to bring Willie back in. Don't tell anyone that their fandom doesn't matter, and don't let anybody else tell you that your fandom doesn't matter. But seek to have good conversations. Seek to find respect amongst those around you, just in life in general. All right, and if you do that, you know what? There'll always be a place for you all here in the Poindexter Lounge. Until next time, stay nerdy.